Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. And we would like to know where you've joined us from. Please just use the chat box and tell us, yeah, I'm joining from anywhere, whatever your city is. You don't need to disclose your street name. Just tell us the town, the city, what country you would like to know where you've joined us from. Oh, from Canterbury. From Canterbury, we've got Canterbury represented, Helsham, Chatham, Canterbury. Ah, well, I cannot prove nor disprove that. Canterbury, we've got a lot of people from Nigeria all the way. You're welcome, Bala. Ramsgate, you're welcome, Dover. Oh, okay, Canterbury for the win. Please do let us know in the chat room. Tell us where you've joined us from. We'd like to know. We'd like to know where you've joined us from. Thank you for joining today. Um, so just to bear in mind, we'll be live streaming today's event. We'll be live streaming on Desola Solutions YouTube channel. And the reason is so you bear in mind if you want to also speak. So it's a safe space. And also it's just for you to know what sort of information you want to pass. If you want to turn your cameras on, depending on how private you are, you get some people are like FBI agents. So they use pseudo names and stuff like that. So so just to let you know, we've gotten Kem from California, United States of America. You're welcome from California. Hey, come on. You're welcome, Cam. Thank you for joining. And please, this is a good time to share with your friends, WhatsApp status, group chats. If you've got parents, intending parents, you've got guardians, they would really benefit from this meeting. Please just share the link with them. Let them join. We're waiting for them. Um, it's a good time to grab a drink, get your notepad ready. Of course, if you have to dim the light so that you don't have any distractions around you, it's a good time for that. Please just get ready. And before we go into yeah, please, of course, for the next thing we have to do, we'll need a notepad. At least you need somewhere to write. And while we're getting all of that sorted, this is the second version of Intentional Parenting Conference. So welcome to IPC 2.0. So the second of its kind Intentional Parenting Conference. And this is the best place for parents, intending parents, and caregivers to learn and share experiences to support their parenting. So this is the best place to be. So welcome everyone once again. And because this is the second edition of IPC, there's a gift for whoever gets my question correct. So please use the chat box, get ready. The clue is on Dishala Sessions YouTube channel in case you need to refer to it. There's a gift. I promise there's a gift. And so who can remind us the theme for last year's IPC conference and who was the keynote speaker? So if you're able to get whoever gets it first, please put in the chat box. There's a gift from me to you. This is not even from the convener, but this is from me to you. The theme for last year's IPC conference, IPC 1.0. Yeah, the person who gets it first, and the name of the keynote speaker. I won't give much away. If you're wondering how to spell Dishala Social, and she, you can see her name there. She's laughing, she's smiling, she's giggling, she's chuckling, everything. So you can check her Instagram account or the YouTube channel. Everything is there. As Nigerians will say the original is there, which means the cheat code is there. So that you find the answer there. Just put in the chat box. Going. Come on. The first person who gets that correctly will get a gift. And I'm seriously hoping it to be someone from Nigeria. Let's show them because Nigeria know they, as we say, Nigeria know they carry last. I guess most of us are Nigerians, so so Nigerians don't come last. So let's prove. Yeah, the theme for Intentional Parenting Conference 1.0, the theme and the keynote speakers initials would be PF. Okay, okay. So, okay, because you got that, yeah, the theme is correct. The name of the keynote speaker, the name, Pastor Akinas has beat everyone to it. You just need the name of the keynote speaker. Praiseful Uwe. That's correct. Praiseful Uwe. But because Pastor has said he lives in, he's from Canterbury, so your gift will be delivered to Canterbury. My God, yeah, praiseful Uwe. So last year we focused on intentional parents and we talked about building strong foundations for future generations. Really beautiful, awesome session we had last year. Thank you for making it to the second edition of IPC. And by the time we convene again, gather again for IPC 3.0, of course, it should be a hybrid event or even physical event, God willing. Um, so I hope we have our notepad ready because we'll be making some notes now. Please, let's have our digital parenting assessment. So no right or wrong answers for these, but you need to like answer sincerely. And this is for us to understand where we currently at, and then to be able to map where we need to go from now. So it's just for you to, sometimes we don't even think about these things deeply because of course we keep on moving on with life, but this is a moment to pause, a moment to reflect and just to evaluate. And so I'll give us time to do that. If you're just joining us, thank you for joining. You're welcome. So please grab your notepad. We're currently having a digital parenting assessment where you answer these questions. Of course, you don't need to share your answers on the chat room. It's just for you to make notes, answer those questions on your own notepad, personal notepad. You don't need to share with anyone here. So we give them time to do that. Welcome. If you're done, just give it thumbs up or just put done on the group chat. And if you need extra sheets, sadly, I'm unable to provide that. Just move to the next page of your notepad. Yeah. Okay. 10 questions. Answer them on your notepad. Thank you for joining IPC 2.0. Welcome, welcome. Okay, 10 questions. Are we done? Yeah, good. Thank you. Faster is fast in everything. Okay, we've got 3 more minutes to get that sorted. Please answer sincerely. Just reflect, just pause, and then answer these questions. Okay. And while we are still answering the questions, part of the participants, so you will see IPC admin. So in case you have any questions you want the panelists to answer going forward, please just message IPC admin, or if you want the question to be viewed by everyone, then you can put in the general group chat. So you have those options. Either put your questions in the group chat or private message the IPC admin. I believe we are done. So please now add your scores together. So the maximum score you can have would be 50. So add the scores together, probably without using a calculator. Let's see. Let's see. Beautiful. Yes. So I believe you had enough scores together. Right. All right. So let's start from if you've scored between 10 to 25. Of course, what that means is there's a need for a digital parenting reset. So you might need, absolutely would benefit from intentional changes. And that's why this event has been put together to create a pathway into establishing expectations, and also so you have a vision for what a digitally healthy family should look like. And of course, when if your score is between 26 to 34, there's a foundation there, which is good. Of course, it just has to be improved upon. 35 to 42, you're quite connected. You have strong digital parenting practices. And of course, you want to see, would explore one or two areas. Are there possible blind spots? Are there things we need to improve upon? So you can even improve and take that a notch higher. And 43 to 50, yeah, there's that good balance. It's that healthy balance that you currently do have, which is really good, and keep it up. Um, so I think we are done. All right. So there's a reflection question we'll be asking. See if we move to the next slide. Yes. So this is a reflection question, of course, rhetorical. If my child describes my digital parenting in 3 words, what would I hope they would say? And what could I do this month to move closer to that? So please reflect, take a minute or two, reflect. If your child were to describe your digital parenting in 3 words, what would you hope they would say? and what can you do or what would you do this month to move closer to that? Please write that down on your notepads. Just put IPC 2.0 and then today's date even. I believe you're still writing. Thank you for doing that. And to those who have just joined, thank you so much for coming. You're welcome to IPC 2.0. IPC stands for Intentional Parenting Conference, and you're just in the very, very best place to learn and also share your experiences. We can learn from each other on how to improve our parenting journey and skill. So thank you so much for joining. Of course, the event is meant for parents, for intending parents, and for caregivers all around. So you're at the right place. And today we're focusing on building a healthy digital family. So thank you for joining this year's edition. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, as you might have already known from the flyer that we've got two amazing speakers, and as well we've got lovely panelists to help with the question and answer session that'll be happening later on. So we're just gonna quickly have an overview of our speakers for today. All right, two speakers. We've got Desola Social. Okay. Sometimes I don't know if I'm moderating this social actually. Yeah, Coach D. Yes, she's the one giggling. She's the one blushing, right? Because, yeah, she's proud of her name, proud of herself, and we are proud of her. She's the convener of IPC. Please, you can just, with your react, give a round of applause to her, please. She's brought us together for an amazing session as today. So, Coach D is a people and resources optimizer and with a background in customer service excellence and strategic continuous process improvement. She's passionate about building systems and developing people. Her personal goal is to facilitate enlightenment, awareness, and transformation, thereby supporting individuals, families, and organizations to achieve their highest aspirations. She's a certified family systems engineering practitioner and a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner and coaching professional. She's a master trainer, facilitator, and public speaker. As lead coach at the Daisy Place UK Limited, her impact is felt through coaching courses, bespoke one-to-one sessions, group coaching, and speaking engagements. Deshala is a child and teen coach supporting young people to maximize their potential and become the best version of themselves in spite of the noise around them. She's the author of Becoming an Ocean, Parenting Beyond Glass Walls, where she challenges parents to embrace personal growth, heal from their past, and become the parents their children need. to flourish. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Deshola. And Sister Deshola, oh, I fondly call her Sister Deshola anyway. But I think for the sake of this event, I need to switch to Coach D. So Coach D will be speaking on practical parenting strategies for a tech healthy home. So she'll be discussing with us later on. And then our second speaker, she's our keynote speaker for the day. We've got Coach Abies, Sonia, Ebenezer, Bamigbayan. And as we've done for Sister Deshala, I will also need your react button. Just make your noise with a round of applause. Just express your joy. We've got Coach Habi Sonia. She's a multifaceted professional with a commitment to positive transformation, a distinguished professional dedicated to facilitating positive change in individual lives through counseling, coaching, mentoring, public speaking, writing, and the application of positive psychology principles, neurolinguistic programming, emotional freedom techniques, and matrix reimprint, and family systems engineering. With over a decade of experience in educational environments, Abies Sonia holds a Master of Science in Counseling and Positive Psychology, as well as a postgraduate degree in Teaching and Learning from Manchester Metropolitan University, which has contributed to our expertise in our field. She's also a member of British Association of Counseling and Psychotherapy, National Council of Integrative Psychotherapists. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased to have Coach Habis take the first session of the day after we've had a 5 minute comfort break. So please make sure you've got your notepads. We'll be having Coach Sonia speak to us. Oh, I think let's get at it now. And then after I will be having the break. So over to you, Coach Habis. Thank you for joining.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Good morning. I didn't catch your name, but good morning. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Coach Desola, thank you so much for trusting me with your platform. I appreciate that. I'm just going to dive right into it. You've asked me to, how many minutes have I got? Is it 30 minutes? Oh, 45 minutes. I'm just lip reading. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Right. Okay. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you
You.
so much, Coach Desola. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Oludare. Thank you for the warm welcome as well. And it's so good to see everybody this morning. We have more than 30 people online. Coach Desola, you're doing something right. Because it's not easy to gather people this early in the morning. You've asked me to speak on the impact of the digital age on children and teenager, focusing on their mental health, their self-esteem, body image, social media addiction, and family connection. So today, I'm not here to tell you how to parent your children. I'm not here to tell you to take their devices of them. I'm not here to tell you to ban them from using the social media. I'm here to just tell you what I've observed and what the research says. The thing about social media is I don't know if I should say unfortunately, we cannot eradicate social media. It is here to stay. So now that we are here, what can we do to ensure that we leverage on it and it doesn't control us? Rather, we learn how to manage it. I know that the impact of social media on children, especially because they have not been taught how to leverage on it, is immense, is quite a lot. Also, parents may not know what to say to their children. So as a result of that, it's almost as if everybody is in a limbo. It's here now, we don't know. And as if that's not enough, now we have the AI. So there's a lot of things. Technology is moving at such a fast pace that if we are not careful, it's going to end up eroding us as individuals, eroding the family dynamic, the society, the school system, and a lot of things. So what can we do? Technology is not the enemy. So the goal here is for us to be able to raise holistic children who are not naive, who are able to use technology to their advantage to enhance their skills and to project themselves well and to position themselves well in the right place. So I'm going to talk about from the place of connection, from a place of creating, and the cost of technology. So according to Ofcon Online National 2025, it said 3 hours online daily for children age 8 to 4. However, 4 hours, as it currently, children are spending 4 hours, especially those that are teenagers. Then 8 to 17 says that they are happy with what they do online, that the online bring a real benefit to them. 15 to 24% of a time on major services occur when children go on it a lot is after school, especially from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So this is the reason as parents, do not leave the devices with your children overnight. Because when they are in school, there's a lot of control when to use it and when not to use it. So they'll end up using maybe break time or lunchtime. If they use it during class time, they might end up confiscating it. So they know that. So when they get home, that's when they really zone in into these devices. So this is why do not trust your children enough to say, oh yeah, I trust them. I will let them. The temptation is very high. So we have to take those devices away from them. Like in my home, my husband is an IT man, so he knows how to remote into their phones and lock it. But even with that, the phones still have to be in the room during the nighttime because these children, they are very clever. They know how to bypass some of the things that we put in their phone, and they know how to, how will I say now? They know how to the word, they know how to disguise it. So, like someone told me that she had put an application on the daughter's phone. So, if she wants to download anything, she has to know. She has to give the authorization. But the child downloaded something else that can bypass it. And you don't even know that is all those their Snapchat and TikTok. It mimic something else, something educational. But she knows. So if you are not really, really vast in technology, you cannot outsmart your children. They will find a way. As we are trying to protect them, there are also people out there, predators, that are also doing things to also ensure that they are able to bypass what we are doing to protect them. So this is the reason we shouldn't come from a place of control. We should come from a place of caution, coaching them, letting them know that we are not doing this. I once had a child who the mother was so upset with before his counseling session. He said, Sonia, do you know he turned off his tracking device on his phone? So I asked him, I said, why did you turn off your tracking device? He said, I'm tired of my mother controlling me. He was just 13 years old. So I had to sit him down and his mom. I said, what do you mean by your mother is controlling you? Oh, she's tracking me, all my movement and everything. So I asked, so is that what you think your mom is doing? He said, yes. So I asked the mom, and the mom said, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to protect you. We had to make him understand that your mom trusts you. We trust our children enough. However, it's the predators out there that we do not trust because they will not shout at them. They are very subtle and gentle in the way they do things. So this is the reason we must not take the authoritative approach when we are telling our children, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. No, the first thing is make them understand, connect with them. A child you do not connect with, you cannot correct. They might pretend to be compliant, to please you, but it doesn't mean they are being obedient. Parents need to understand that. So the first thing is sit them down, let them know. I trust you, but there are predators out there that I do not trust. Because they can do all sort of things. Anybody can hide behind a computer. I can see very few faces here right now. Anybody can be behind the covering on this Zoom page. It might have this solar source. However, if a screen is off, I don't know who's behind it. Anybody in our household can be behind it. How do I know that I'm chatting with a 13 years old? It might be a 30-something years old man or woman. So let them know that the world we live in right now is not the way it is. Reality is very blurred. There are certain videos that I see online. I have to ask my children, please come, is this AI? Or is this real? Because I know this person cannot dance like this, but it'll make you look so slick. And you think it is the real person dancing. So AI has even made it even worse. So have a communication with them. It's so important that you have that communication. Learn from them as well. And make every moment a teachable moment. When I was in the educational setting, there was a boy that the sister, two sisters, they were on, I think, was it Minecraft or one of those games that they play? And someone had befriended them, pretended to be in primary school, but this person was not in a primary school. They turned on their location, sent their school address, and this man started stalking them in school until the teachers noticed that when it's break time or lunchtime, this car is always hovering around and there's someone inside. Until they found out that it was their friend online that pretended to be the same age as this person that was doing that. And this case had to go to court because it was serious. That's pedophilia behavior. So when those things come, when I get home, whether it's in the papers, it's a teachable moment. Sit them down because it's not me talking now. We have underestimated the power of storytelling so much because we just want to talk. It's not about lecturing, it's about educating our children. And story is such a good one. So when anything happens in the news, anything is trending, I bring it to their awareness. They probably may have seen it or heard about it. I bring it to their awareness. I say, let's talk about this story. This is what happened. What do you think they could have done better? What do you think made this child vulnerable to this issue that happened? And they'll start contributing. Oh, he should have turned off our location. Oh, he should have done this. Or he shouldn't have. Not they are the one that is bringing out the lessons. And at the end, we see, when I tell you that I trust you, I don't trust people out there. Do you understand now? And so they are learning, not just me talking now, but from other people's stories. So the way we communicate with our children is very, very important. Now, let's go now to the flip side of when we're communicating what these digital devices or the apps can do to their mental health and well-being. Anxiety, there's this fear of missing out. If I'm not on TikTok, if I'm not on Snapchat, what will happen? And then they start using fake names, aliases to get in there. So rather than banning them that don't go on these devices, let them know the implication, the cost of these things to their health. They will know one or two of their friends or their classmates will probably have anxiety, or they call it social anxiety these days. So let them know what could happen. FOMO is real, fear of missing out. It is real. I'm not there. My friends are having this discussion when we are meeting during lunchtime. I'm feeling left out because I cannot carry on with the conversation they've had. But there is also something else. A child may have been bullied. There was a child that was killed in Australia last year. She took her own life because of social media. She was bullied in school. They followed her to social media and she was bullied. Gone are those days when if you fall out with someone in school, you know that before I see you again is in the next 24 hours. But online these days, you cannot escape. They will invite you. I once had a child that was self-harming. Why was she self-harming? They were adding her to groups that she did not request to. So while you are also teaching, you need to also empower them. When you decide to join on this platform, you need to don't share your location, lock your location. You also need to put some settings like we do in WhatsApp. Like for example, on WhatsApp, you cannot add me to group. You have to send me the link and I will decide to join. There are settings you can click on. Show them these things. So you are empowering them through your communication with them. And when stories like that break down, again, the storytelling, this is what happened. And this child took their life because she was bullied so much. There was no hiding place. In school, she was bullied. At home, she was bullied. I'll come to the signs that you will know if your child is being bullied shortly. The low mood as well. There are loads of children. When my daughter was in year 7, we gave her this brick phone, and she was bullied for that. They were bullying her. These are people that we know that you don't have the trendy phone, you don't have your phone, you can't download social media and things like that. So we had to have that conversation with her while we did it. And we later gave her a better phone. But after we have already explained things to her. So when you jump into these things too early as well, it can lead to low mood because you can be rejected as well. Or what happened if you send someone that is training in school, those trendy girls or trendy boys in school, you send them a request online and they reject you? How are you going to feel? Are you emotionally ready? Some of them think they are physically ready because they are teenagers now or I'm in high school. Let them know, how would you react? Let's have this discussion. How would you react? If you send someone a request and they rejected you, how would you react? What if you uploaded a picture or something and someone is being rude to you and they are commenting on how you look or what you said and you're being dragged? How would you react? This summer, I did some work with the youths in nature, and Professor Adi, Jason Adi, God rest his soul, was a teachable moment for us. I had to bring it in. What happened to him? Why do you think he had to go the way he went? Social media pressure. If there was no social media, perhaps he would still be with us now. We don't know. But the pressure is real. It left the workplace, they still carried on. The amount of articles that was released within a short period, as an adult, he couldn't take it. He was 41 years old. So what about you that is a teenager? Are you sure you're ready for that social pressure? These are the discussion you have with them. So now you're moving from don't do this, don't do that. You're moving to let's have a talk. Let's discuss this. Let's explore this. So you're moving to coaching now, asking them those powerful questions that will cause them to reflect. So when you are being compared to someone, how would you react? What would you do? When you are being isolated for something that you said, a comment that you made that was misconstrued, what would you do? Will you be able to cope with the emotional trauma that will go with it? Children are very sincere. They will tell you, and based on their response, then you'll be able to build on that. Then in terms of focus as well, if you notice now, the trend, even on YouTube, they have the shorts. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So the attention span, normally they'll say, oh, the age of a child times 2 is their attention span. So if you have teenagers, 26 minutes or 30 minutes, let's stretch it a bit. But right now, 4 minutes is too long for them. They just want to quickly jump into it. So it's affecting their retention span. Have you noticed that a lot of children now have been diagnosed with ADHD and the rest of you? It's attention deficit disorder. So the attention span is reducing and reducing. Social media is contributing to this. So this at the time we begin to explain to them. Everybody wants to get the response quick, quick, quick. Then the sleep. There are children that take their devices to bed. By the time they're supposed to be sleeping, they are on this device. They are there. It's a bottomless pit. There is no end to it. Sleep deprivation is real, and it can hinder their growth and their mental and emotional well-being, whereby their tolerance level is really, really short. A child that is supposed to be patient will become easily irritated. If I have not slept well, I'm not patient. I'm an adult. So imagine a child that is pulling all-nighter 5 days a week. That child is going to be hallucinating if care is not taken, if that is consistent, because they are living in a state of chronic stress. So these are where we teach them. Yesterday, we went for a walk in nature. and we saw a tree with something formed on it as if it was a squirrel, a big squirrel that was sitting on that tree. I got curious and I brought out my phone. This, by the way, my daughter taught me, if you are in the woods, you don't know what you're looking at, get your phone and go on Google. You know the camera button that is on Google that says search. Click on that image, take a picture of it. Google will tell you all about it. And you look like a prof, like a nature prof. My daughter taught me that. You see, these things also help them as well. So I clicked on it, and this was telling me that this was a deformation on the tree because of stress. So that thing that I thought was a big squirrel hanging on the tree was the tree showing that it's being stressed. That particular tree, I don't know the kind of stress the tree is gone through, but when a tree is gone through intense stress, the growth, instead of the branches growing out, it get deformed on the tree and it get attached to it. It doesn't grow as a branch. So if a tree can be affected by stress, so can you imagine a human being, a child that is on the that is being sleep deprived? So these are teachable moments as well. That you teach them the impact of sleep. We are supposed to have good sleep because this is the time where we have rejuvenation in our body, where you go through healing, your body parts go through healing. So if you do not sleep well, you are depriving yourself, and your attention span is going to be affected as well. Your patience level is going to be affected. You might get easily irritated. You might not really comprehend what you are going through in school. So these are things that we need to start telling them, the implication, rather than they perceiving us like we are bossing them around. Now, the content creation as well, whereby they are posting content. Sometimes you post things that you cannot take back. I've always told people the mistakes that I made, I'm sure a lot of people do not know about it, except I begin to open my mouth. But the children these days, the mistake that they're making, as you bring that video down, you think you've deleted it. Someone have downloaded it and saved it. So we need to be really, really careful because you don't know where you are going. I always ask children, what do you want to be? Where are you going? Are there things that you do right now when you look back in retrospect, you regret it or it might hinder you later? Because your mistake cannot be hidden. So start having that conversation with them on the impact. And if there is anybody that has impacted, there's a story on like bring it out. Let's have a discussion. It's very, very important. Then there is this part of where you feel you are not enough because there's so much pressure out there. If you are feeling low mood, ask yourself, what have you been exposing yourself to? Because whatever informs you transforms you. So you start asking the children, you are feeling low mood, you are feeling you are not enough, you are feeling you are not good enough. What have you been watching? What have you been listening to? For me, is every moment is teachable. We don't just zone in at one time and then we'll back off. It's a continuous process with social media. As we are talking right now, I'm sure there is an app that is being developed that will grab their attention even more. The names, I've lost count of the names of apps on social media. TikTok, Snapchats, we have WhatsApp. I don't know the names. There are so many names out there now. So we need to ensure that we are sharing protective messages with our children. When it's not about the likes, it's not about the views. There was a story that was going around, a girl that had thousands of followers, and she thought she had arrived. And she did a party inviting her social media people, elaborate party in America, and nobody turned up. You think these people are your friends? They are not your friends. Coach Desola, we have more than 30 people on this program right now. These are people maybe you've seen face to face, people you've interacted with, you've known in one capacity or the other. It's not the same with those followers. There are some people, if they take their social media down today, they'll be having a meltdown because it's like their life has come to an end. So we need to tell them the reality. These people don't really care about you. They are probably following you for one entertainment or the other. But at what cost is that entertainment to you? So these are the things. So now there's another one is the body dysmorphia, where children The filters. Have you noticed there are loads of filters these days? I can't catch up. There was a filter someone used to take the picture. Even me, I did not recognize myself. My nose was so pointy. My mouth was, I was looking at it. I was like, is this me? I was telling my children, I said, I don't get it. This doesn't look anything like me. Why did she put this filter on me? Because even me, I walk past that picture on social media, I wouldn't know it's me. But unfortunately, children are getting addicted to this. So it's a mental condition now. Body dysmorphia. You can Google it and see it. The filters, the edits, the AI enhanced images that we're putting out there, where the body is bodying, you're having a 8 hour shape, glass shape, or whatever they call it. You are looking inch, your chest is popping out. This is not you in reality. And the more you look at it, the more you will not appreciate yourself. I'll tell you a story. I spoke to someone recently who passed on. The sister passed on, a relative passed on, and I was like, "What happened?" He said the person is very comfortable, married with children and everything, but she was never happy with her nose. With all these filters, she felt her nose was not in a particular shape because there's this filter she was using, and she started with it. She did her nose job. As if that was not enough, she went, she said she wanted to have this BBL thing that she did. And after doing the BBL, I know her husband asked her not to do it. But when the man had traveled, she did the BBL. And because she knew that her husband would be back soon, she did not take the safety precaution that was advised. She had come on time and carry on what she was doing, and she bled to death. These are stories that we should be telling them. When you keep looking at yourself in that filter and you're looking so beautiful, your nose is looking in such a way, your eyebrow is popping, your chin is everything, your chin bone is standing. How would you feel looking at your real self? You will no longer be satisfied. And before you know it, you start going under the knife. So we have to be very, very careful. Let these children know about this story, the implications of this. Stop using filters. Stay away from social media for now and focus on the right things. But you cannot just tell them stay away. They say curiosity kills the cat. What you tell them to stay away from, that's where they want to go. So which is why I said the stories are teachable moments that we can easily use. So body dysmorphia disorder is a mental health condition involving intense worry about perceived flaws in appearance. These flaws, other people may not see it, but because you have used the filter so much, you are the only one that will constantly see it and you will no longer be satisfied. And this can even lead to promiscuous life, where girls that don't have enough money to finance this kind of BBL life, they start sleeping around. Or boys, they start selling drugs. It can go either ways. So these are the things that we need to start telling them. Now, the next one is addiction as well. Social media is addictive, even for adults. So we also need to sell them this. Social media is addictive, just like cigarettes, just like drinking. They said 11%, according to World Health Organization 2024 research, said 11% of adolescents in Europe show that signs of problematic social behavior as a result of addiction to social media. It can lead to loss of control, craving for different things. It can lead to you getting used to masturbation. It can lead to you picking up habits that are not supposed to be. It can also lead to you losing your empathy. I don't know if you know about all these games that they have online these days. I can't remember their name. Minecraft and all of them. Some of them are very violent. They are shooting at one another. This is the reason knife crime and gun crime has increased, where children are taking a big chunk to cut someone else and they feel no remorse whatsoever. Because in the digital world, they've done it. So in virtual world, they can do it and there is no remorse. But those people in the virtual world can stand up. You stab someone, they will stand up. You will stab the person, they will stand up. But in reality, that doesn't happen. So this make them to lose empathy for reality. This is why it's so. I don't know if you've seen the Angel of Death where they have the knife crime. I don't know, because Desola, have you seen it? They brought it to where I live last year, and it was there for about a month. Yeah, they were carrying it around like this. It's a big image where they put all the knives that people have been stabbed with. Police, they've turned into a big structure. Is it the Angel of Knife or the Angel of something? I don't know. It was scary when I saw the size of those knives that people would take to butcher a human being. I couldn't believe it. I had goose pimples all over me. Now you might think what affected their inhibition is as a result of the games. Virtually, they hold that knife and they do whatever they want to do. So in reality, it's easy for them to just grab that knife and just do what they need to do. So these are the things you want to end up in prison. Another thing again is in the group. If you join these things, there's a child in Manchester years ago. He was given an award by the Queen before she died. But what if I tell you the boy is still in prison right now and they've been trying to get him out? They've not succeeded. He was added to a group in Telegram. And then they started having a discussion about beating someone up. He did not leave, he stayed in the group. He never even uttered one word. But they planned all the attack on this boy, and I think the boy died. So when the police arrested the group of boys, they found out that there was a group. Everybody in that group was arrested. They were tried in court and they were sent, all of them, whether he said something or not. He's still in prison, and that boy had a bright future. All of them had a bright future in front of them. So these are some of the dangers we need to tell our children. Because it's not mommy is telling stories now, daddy is telling stories. It is reality. What age are children more vulnerable? I should ask. Before you give your child any devices, ask, is my child old enough? A child might be a teenager, but they are acting like a 10 years old. Then they don't deserve to have a device. So you parents, you will have to decide, what age should I give? Like in my home, we give them when they are going to secondary school. But when they come back, especially in that year 7, only because when they are traveling, we want to be able to see, hear from them when they're traveling. So when you come back, your phone is going to turn off by itself. You will not be able to contact any other person. And that was communicated, not done as a punishment, not in a punitive way, but it was communicated the reason why. So check the age development of your child. Now, in terms of belonging as well, there are some people, especially those that have just relocated, these are phones that they use to get in touch with people back home. So also put that into consideration. Is there a time where you will give your phone to your child to use, but in a controlled environment, whereby they can call family member, FaceTime them, not just cut them off. Now they are not seeing them. That can also lead to, can also impact their mental health as well, where they feel that back home they had loads of family members and now they are in the diaspora. It's as if they've been uprooted from their roots. So you parent, you have to also find out, how can I harmonize this, that my children do not feel like they are being isolated? So the purpose of you giving the device has to be defined. Then self-esteem as well. Like I said before, we gave our child a brick phone, the Nokia phone, and that led to her being bullied in school. So you need to also think, how do I balance this? If I give my child this phone, is she going to be laughed at? Even the ringtone, she was hiding the phone ringtone, they were laughing at her. You know those Nokia phones, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's what we give to her. So I felt so bad when she told us. So we have to change it and upgrade it to something reasonable. But you have to balance it. You don't want to also expose your child to be a target for bullies. And then they will not lose their self-esteem. I know their self-esteem is not attached to it, but let's not kid ourselves. When you are being picked on because of what you have, it's in a way to rob you of somehow. Now, the stress as well. Our children are using this as an escape. There are some children that come back from school, they go straight to their room, lock their door. You will not hear from them again except when they are hungry. That's it. So when your children start isolating themselves, this is the time you have to have a meeting with them. Sit them down and tell them that, are you not dependent on this thing every minute you're on your device? So there should be a moderation. Everything has to be done in moderation, having that discussion so that they don't become dependent and see themselves worth inside that device. It's not the be it or and they know it all the time. They're supposed to be studying. They are there laughing away and following memes and all of those stuff. Now, let them know as well the content that they are putting out there. If they have to go, even when they are getting older, what content are you putting out there? Are you putting content where you're very upset and at the end of the day you said something that you cannot take back? You can't take back because someone may have downloaded it. I heard recently someone lost their job in a bank, I think last week, because of inappropriate content they put online that was not in alignment with their workplace. So we have to be really careful. What are they putting out there? What pictures are they putting out there? Our parents know there is a word called sexting, where they are taking pictures of their private part and they are sending it to one another. Sexting has been going on for years, over 10 years now. Our parents are aware of that. What are your children sending? What are they sending online? There are people out there that are perverts. They put pressures on these children. Sense of belonging. We are all doing it. You send yours, I send mine. There was a child when I was working in an emotional behavioral disorder school. He sent his private parts to his girlfriend. And when they break up, the girl went to the school WhatsApp group and dropped it there. He was humiliated. Police was in school, confiscated all their phones. Parents were being called in. Imagine missed time, the time we're supposed to use to do something reasonable. We're busy trying to sort out things because this child was a look after child. So the case was just, it was just horrible. That could have been averted. So please educate them. While we're talking about sex education, it's time you also let them know. Now, why is it good to have this conversation? You will learn from them. There are some terminology that our youth are using. You think they're talking about normal things we are talking. It's not. When a child said you look sick, you think they're telling you are sick. You are not sick. They're telling you look good. Are you aware of that? So if you don't have this communication and build this bridge with them, they will say you with their language. You will think they are speaking our normal lingua. They are not. You've been sold. So when you get into their word and you allow them in, leave that window or the door, whatever you want to leave, or communication, whereby they can also tell you things. I always tell them, I can learn from a baby. Don't feel as if you know it all. Parents, if you go and tell your children, don't do this because I said so, they say, why? You say, because I said so. Don't worry. They will soon have something to bypass that you're saying so, and you have yourself to blame. So this is why it's very important that you connect with them, get into their world, get a sneak peek of their world. Because to be honest, how would you feel if your parents told you not to play with your friends when you were growing up? The social media is their playground. Let's accept it. So when you are putting too much constraint, you are robbing them of their playground. That's what you're doing. So it's best we empower them, we share stories with them, and we talk to them. Let it be a teachable moment. They teach you, you teach them. Now, what are the things that you might notice when your child is struggling with their mental health as a result of social media? They can get easily irritable. You see that whenever they are scared, anxious to pick up their phone, maybe because they've been added to a group and their behavior is just changed. A child that is normally bubbly, at the end of the day is gone really quiet. Or a child that is very quiet, it can be a flip. It's not very violent, very impatient. When you say one, they are very reactive. You know that something is bothering that child. And one thing I need to let parents know, a child that goes explosive on you, just know that they find it, that you are a safe haven for that child. A child will not explode on people that they do not find safe with. When a child explodes at you, calm down. That child trusts you. They just want you to check on them. I remember when I used to teach in that emotional behavioral disorder school. This is a child that I get along with. All of a sudden, she exploded in my lesson. I'm like, what is going on? So you might be quick as a parent, say, what is wrong with this child? You are disrespectful. Calm down. That child is crying for help. But because they are children, they don't know how to say, I need help. They want you to investigate. They want you to dig deeper. And then later I spoke to the friend. I said, what is going on with your friend? She exploded in my class. And she was like, her grandma is in the hospital. And she was with her. She doesn't know if her grandma is going to pass on or she's going to leave. And why did she explode in my class? I'm the one that she connects with more. She wouldn't try that in another teacher's class where she does not feel comfortable. She knew I would investigate. And what did I do? I did investigate. Other people would just say, this child is disrespectful, suspension. Let's give them isolation. She knew I would not jump to that. Other classes, she was fine. But she exploded in my class. And when I did the investigation, I was then able to tell the other teachers, let's share a bit of compassion to her because she's going through this and this. And immediately I was able to talk to her. One word, how are you? How is your grandmother? She burst out crying. She could have just said, I know some people will say, why can't you just come and meet you and say, my grandmother is sick? No, children don't think like that. Forget that they are big. You do know that a child's brain is not fully developed until in their late 20s. So we identify them because they are taller than us. My daughter at 10, she was taller than me. She's 18 and I talk to her like this. So if I think because she's taller than me and I start doing identification, there's going to be trouble. She's taller, but she does not have my experience. So this is where parents, when your child is always exploding, you are a safe haven for that child. They want you to find out. They want you to investigate, check on them and say, how are you? Not how are you as in how are you? No, how are you doing? What is going on? Like that, that's what they want. So when your child is exploding, find out. When your child is suddenly quiet and not secretive, when you're coming, they jump and hide their phone, find out. There's something happening there that is not 100%. When they're having low mood or their mood is just like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. 1 minute they're laughing, 1 minute they're crying, 1 minute it's just up and down. Something is not right. If you have to just take them and go on a walk, take them away from other children. Please do. Give them that one-on-one. When they are beginning to, they are not looking their best self. A child that normally take time in coordinating themselves, now they are looking, their hair is looking messy. They don't even care. Something is not right. Their hygiene level has dropped. Something is not right at all. Now, when a child start asking you, how does my eyebrow look? How does my nose look? Is my nose looking like there is trouble too. So anything that is done in excessive, either this way or that way, we need to pay attention and have that conversation. When your child lose interest in school, I don't want to go to school. Maybe they are bullied in school or they are being picked on. Find out what's actually going on. Now, when they are having, the teacher is telling you that, oh, this child is sleeping in class, or they're a bit grumpy in the morning when you wake them up. They're sleeping in everywhere. When they're doing their chores, they are sleeping. They're finding everywhere to sleep. Sleep disruption. It could be they have their games in their room. Maybe they're playing games till late in the night. If you have their devices, their games is there. They can connect it. So check on it as well. Let them know that they shouldn't add people they don't know face to face as well in their game stuff, because these games these days, Call of Duty and all of those stuff, people can be invited and they'll speak to them. So make sure you know who their friends are. Get to know their friends, if possible, know their parents as well, right? When they have withdrawal from friends and family members are around, friends are around, and they just disappear into their own space, go and find out what's going on. Me, I always tell them that I just want to check on you. Why are you there? Come downstairs. Come and join us downstairs. So check on them as well. Now, I'm just going to wrap up here. We need to move from controlling our children. Our children do not listen sometimes because we are too authoritative. And parents, please, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying that parenting needs to be upgraded. If you parent the way our parents parented us, we'll lose these children. We need to learn to bridge the gap. We were very obedient. If your parents say don't move, where you are, they'll come and meet you there. But there are also loads of millennials that are people pleasers as well. They can't say no because your parents have indoctrinated you into being a people pleaser. You please your parents, you are pleasing your friends, you are not living your life. Everything, you cannot say no to your friends, even when it's killing you. A lot of millennials have that problem because we were so indoctrinated that you have to follow, you have to be obedient. I don't want to raise a child that is just compliant. I want to raise a holistic child. And my child can tell me no, but you better have a good reason. You can tell me no. And I'll ask, Mommy, come and do this. I say, I can't do it now. Okay, come. Why can't you do it now? Oh, Mommy, I'm just changing my bedding. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's fine. Can you make sure you do what I ask you to do later? But in our time, if I tell my father that I'm changing my bedding, I know what's going to come for me. So I can't even say nothing. So we have to raise your children that in such a way that they will be able to also stand up for themselves. If they cannot stand up and be, project themselves well in front of you, they can also do it with their friends. There'll be a people pleaser where they'll be like a yo-yo. If your friends say go this way, you go. If your friends say do this, you do that. Because you trained them to be like that. So we need to create boundaries together. If you do what I ask you not to do, or the family agreement, what give us, what can we do to you? They always tell you what you even worse than. Like my child said, okay, fine, you can take my phone for 1 week. So when they say that, it's just once you cross that boundary, they will just bring their phone. No need, we don't talk. You just bring the phone, just the agreement. So create that boundaries together so that they will also know how to create boundaries with their friends, right? Protect their sleep. Let them know the importance of sleep. Sleep can make you stagnant. It can make you, if you lack of sleep, can make you stagnant. It can make you your tolerance level to be low. Your attention span can make you ill as well. So you need to also let them know. Let's model to our children as well. You said don't be on the phone. When you come back from work, your head is like this. Mommy, mommy, mommy. Daddy, daddy. You're like that. You're hypocrites. I'm sorry. You're an hypocrite. So model what you want them to do. Model what you want them to do. You have to model that thing. Our children do more as we do than as we say. Just quote that anywhere. So me and my husband is very good at making smoothies with vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. We've been doing that since last year. Guess what? My oldest, 18, this year by herself went to get some fruits that she liked. And then she started blending as well, strawberry and all of those stuff. Ha. Me, I was now looking at her. I say, Auntie, what did you see? Why are you making smoothies? He said, I'm going to the gym, so my diet has to be changed as well. I also have to mind what I'm eating. I can see the way you and daddy have been doing it. You don't give us, so let me just say, because when you give it to them, they didn't take. But it came to her seeing it over time, and she bought into it. I didn't compel her. She bought into it. So modeling, you think, if your children are not doing what you ask them to do, ask yourself, are you doing what you ask them not to do? It's not do as I say, it's do as I do. Then let's keep the conversation open. Let them also contribute as well. Let them contribute because they might have very good ideas as well. So let them contribute. This is how we raise leaders. We are raising leaders, not followers alone. Raise leaders. And this conversation can be part of it as well. So I'm just going to quickly summarize. Let them know what the boundaries are. No bringing devices to the bedroom and it's over. No playing games in the night, collect it. Let them know to mind what they're posting online. Have that communication with them, connect with them, get into their world. Their word is different. We also have to honor it as well. Let them know the reason why you're saying things. And if they have alternative point, let them also have reasons as well and see how things can be done in a better way. Always review things together because things change quite a lot. Review things and keep it going as well. Coach Desola, I just want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I really do hope that parents, you've taken away from them, taking away things that you can apply. I hope a lot of things resonate with you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you
If
so
there's any
very
questions,
much,
please let
Coach
me know.
Habits.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What a lovely session. Please, can we give a round of applause? Use the emojis, just react, send her your love. Yeah, just react. Thank you so very much for that insightful session. Thank you so very much. And for those who have just joined, of course, welcome again to IPC 2.0. And that's Intentional Parenting Conference, which is the right place to be for parents, intending parents, and caregivers. So this year we focus in on tech really and building a digital healthy family. And then we've had Coach Abby. So we'll be having 5 minutes for us to grab water, reflect on some of the points she's made, and also send your questions to the admin because we'll be having a panel discussion exactly 12:20. We'll be having a panel discussion. So we'll be having Pastor Hakim Kunlepe, we'll be having Coach D, Coach Sonia, and also a surprise panelist. I will give it out now. So I'm so excited to see you. So yeah, please send your questions so we can collect them and also get them answered. Thank you, everyone. See you 12:20.
Emmanuel, can we play that video, please? Thank you.
It's being billed as a potential moment of reckoning for social media giants. Meta will now defend itself in a major federal trial after several US states accused it of designing addictive features for children in its apps and illegally collecting and using kids' data. The trial, getting underway in California, comes after a coalition of states sued the tech company in 2023. 4 were selected to represent their claims. Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp and Threads, says it strongly disagrees with the allegations, stating Meta is confident the evidence will show our long-standing commitment to supporting young people, adding the company has listened to parents, worked with experts and law enforcement. The plaintiffs are demanding a long list of changes to Meta's apps, as well as financial penalties as high as $1.4 trillion, close to the company's entire market value, which hovers around $1.5 trillion. Experts have described the case as social media's big tobacco moment, referring to a wave of legal cases against cigarette companies in the 90s over smoking-related health harms. Just last week, a judge in New Mexico ordered
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much. So we're having the panel discussion session right now. And of course, panelists for the day, we've got Coach D, Coach Abies, Pastor Akin, and then the Bishop of Canterbury himself, not the official bishop, but our own bishop, um, Abayomi Sosa. His IPC debut. Yeah, our four panelists for the day. Please you can send your questions to me. I'm happy to have them answered. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Please confirm. I won't be able to see people, no way. But let's see. Okay. Can you see my screen, please? Someone just say
Yes.
yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, oh, beautiful. Thank you. Yes, so the first question we've got, question and answer, we've got, it says, is it all right to expose toddlers to screens? If yes, how long is too much? And what types of content are safe for them? So this question will be going to Coach Desola.
All right. Good morning again. Sorry, it's afternoon. My goodness. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Pastor Aki. Thank you, Bishop. Yeah, no side eye. Wow. Thank you, Emmanuel, and most grateful. I am so grateful, Coach Sonia. Thank you for accepting, and thank you for delivering that. I mean, that powerful session. And welcome, our guests. You're why we have put this together, and I always say that when parents take the time to learn, to expose themselves to knowledge, to challenge themselves to do better. For me, because of my line of work, it gives me confidence that the world is it has a chance. All right, that the future has a chance because we're literally raising the future in our homes, and that's where this question has come from. You know, parents of young children, toddlers under two, and what have you. Asking this question, I think, is important. It's a conversation that we do need to have. Personally, I cringe when I see children with screens, right? I'm like, this child is upset, they're crying. And then I see a phone or a tablet shoved in front of them to pacify them. And it's worrying, it's concerning. I mean, Coach Sonia has talked about how addictive it is. And that was why I wanted us to watch that video again for those of us that came in later. Meta is facing, questions. They're being challenged on what they've contributed to that dynamic, putting screens out there, making content, social media, and what have you, technology, right, in the visual form, accessible, right, to children, and all of that. And it is designed to be addictive. Okay, so when we think about the maturing brain of a child, we think about their youth, their toddler phase, the infant phase, young children, and or school age children, and all. Their brains are still developing. And that is where the caution is for us as parents. That is where we need to then ask ourselves, what can potentially happen to this child that we're putting a screen in front of? Okay. I personally do not think children under two should be exposed to screens because their brains are developing, because they're relying on social interaction, they're relying on faces, they're relying on textures, sensory development for their brains to fully begin to mature. And that is where my own reservation comes from. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, that's absolutely fine. Let's look at what the science is saying. Now, the Association of American Pediatricians have recommended the same thing. Children under two, no screens, except for when they are interacting with family members, right? It's a video call with a grand uncle, with an auntie, with, somebody who is wishing them a happy birthday. They can access screens for that purpose and that purpose alone, right? A French psychiatrist, Serge Tisseron, has designed a 369 rule to help guide parents, okay? And what he has shared is that before 3, no screens, similar to what the AIP has said, no screens. Young children need real world sensory play. They need to have face-to-face interaction and avoid passive media. Passive media, because when you're in front of a screen, your creativity is subdued because you're not physically engaging. Now, for us adults, I mean, we've been around for a while, we can say, and it's not to suggest that adults don't get addicted to devices or to screens, right? I mean, you find in some cases, some adults are watching 3, 4, 5 screens at the same time because they're looking for that constant stimulation, right? So for your toddler, 3 and under, no screens. I would say if it's a phone call, if it's a video call with a family member or with somebody, we can allow that. And how long would that last for? Not too long. Before age 6, now this is, again, that 369 rule. Before age 6, no personal video game consoles or private devices. That is the recommendation. Any media use should be limited. It should be supervised, and it should preferably be educational. So this is where we talk about high quality content, okay? So if you're putting your child who is 6 and under in front of a screen between 3 and 6, whatever it is they are watching needs to be educational. Okay, so obviously you have watched this thing and you have decided this is information I want my child to access, and you're ensuring that it is limited in quantity. Before age 9, no independent or unsupervised internet access. Children can learn to use computers, but an adult should guide them. So the guidance could be in form of hands-on support, sitting next to them. And personally, you don't put a device in front of a child before you have put training ahead. You have given them those guidance. You have told them, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. You don't share your location. You don't tell anybody information about yourself. You don't join chat rooms. You have done all of that groundwork. You have then also put secondary support in place. You have put those guardrails where they can't buy something or order an app or whatever without your permission. They can't, they have limited screen time windows, right? So the phone goes into sleep mode at certain times of day that you have decided is good for their well-being. And before age 12, now this is important, no independent social media use. Children can begin to explore digital tools safely with clear rules and ongoing adult supervision. So I've gone across up until age 12. The question was toddlers, but I hope that helps us out so that we can support these children and ensure that we don't put them at a disadvantage because they are growing in this digital age. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. So we have a follow-up question to that. So for a child with special needs, is there any space or place where we can say, okay, they will need some screens, even though they are still under the age of 12, under 7, but because the question has come to say, what about children with special needs and screens? And their parents say parent with neurotypical children won't understand what they are passing through. Hence, their children, I mean, the children with special needs actually do need screens. So how do we sort of balance that?
All right, I'm going to say a few things, and I'll ask Coach Sonia to step in with this one, if that's all right. So obviously, neurodiversity poses a different kind of scenario, okay? And not just neurodiversity, there are other learning challenges that a child might have. Some children depend on technology to be able to communicate. So if you have a non-verbal autistic child, for instance, you can train them to use a device because communication is important. You want to know how they're feeling so they can tell you they want this. This is how, this is a need they have in present time, okay? So you want to take that into account. And I believe that will fall under high quality content, okay? So it is not them sitting mindlessly scrolling, consuming, what's that new lady that my children didn't have growing up, so bear with me. What's that new, Uncle Emmanuel, you have young people around you. that lady that teaches them alphabets and all. And they're
Miss
sitting
Rachel.
there.
Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel, God bless you. Thank you. Miss Rachel. And they're on that cycle. And Miss Rachel is parenting. Miss Rachel is doing the work that parents are supposed to be doing, in playing with the child, in touching stuff, in engaging with the world around them. Right? So if a child is in front of Miss Rachel for hours, that is not high quality content. Sorry, okay? It is not. Maria Montessori was clear on how to teach children in that 0 to 3 age, 0 to 5 age, to ensure that their development is properly managed, okay? It does not involve screens. So for neurodiverse children, Coach Sonia, do you want to comment on this one?
Yes, I was just wondering because the first thing I would say is, parents, we need to ask ourselves, why am I giving my child a device? That's the first question. If you are sincere with yourself, when you are reflected, you need to reflect enough, then you will know if you need to do it or not. If you are giving that to your child to engage them so that you can then go and do other things so that they don't disturb you, then perhaps you are not doing it for the right reason. If you are not using this as a pacifier, then perhaps you are not also using it right. Coach Desola has actually said, or when she said, if it's for a learning, like for example, when my children were younger, I don't know if anybody know about this American program they call My Baby Can Read. It was really, really good. I actually just gave some of the CD to someone today. So it will tell you the alphabet and all of that stuff. And the BBC also do these phonics as well. And all of those stuff, right? And the numbers, number games and all of that stuff. So if you are doing that, because toddler is 1 year to 3 years old. So as you are preparing them to go into nursery school, whether neurodivergent or not, and you decide to teach them phonics so that when they get into school, they are used to it, then that's fine. So ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I giving them this device? And if it's going to help you as a neurodivergent parent, to help you to know the resources to use, perhaps maybe you also need to watch it and also adapt those things like you were talking about, teacher Rachel, or that lady. You cannot hand over everything she's doing and allow her to just teach your children. How about adapting some of the things that she's also doing and creating time to also do it for your child? Because we have to be careful with this attachment. There's a lot of people that do not have secured attachments. It's as a result of these devices. We have the people that have, very few people have secured attachment these days. Some of them have insecure attachment. Some of them have the one anxious attachment. Because devices has replaced our attachment to our children. A child will find it more soothing to hold a phone than for you to give a hug to your child. Come on. Let's think about these things. How does your child respond when you give them a hug? When you sit by them, how do they go jumping? So we have to, whatever anybody is helping us online, let's also find a way to also adopt, learn from that person, and also try and practice what they are showing you. Don't just, it's Teacher Rachel now, you just give them the device. How about you trying to do what Teacher Rachel is also doing? I know we are very busy, so that doesn't help us. But the thing is, I believe that no matter how busy you are, we all have 24 hours, and you will always make time for the things that are priority for you. That's just the truth. Things that are a priority for you, you will always create that time for it. And remember, whether you are a single parent, you will always do that. If you are also married and you have a husband or a partner, remember, you are not the only one that should be doing it. You can also share it as well, whereby the husband will help, your wife will help. Without the help of my husband, I don't know what I would have done. So we have to share it together. It's very important. Very, very important. And remember, you can make money anytime. Let's not prioritize money making and all of that stuff over things. Let's learn to harmonize our life and build the things that we need. That's all I have to say. So let's not use neurodivergent, because I've just quickly checked now. There is nothing that said neurodivergent children have to use a device. Like Coach Joshua said, is for communication. Other than that, there is no research that has proven that. I'm a research-driven person. I like experiential things. I'll stop there.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. You've done justice to that question. Thank you. All for your learning. Of course, as an intending parent, uh, yeah, I'm learning quite a lot. And I've got godchildren. I'm not only a godfather, so it's a good learning curve for me as well. Um, yes. This question, it says, of course, this will be going to the bishop, Abayomi for those people, or Q says, for those who don't know him fondly. So we call him bishop because he's our friend and brother. But you can add for Abayomi, let me be slightly formal with you. And we can't underestimate how smart children are. What parenting skills should parents build in order to develop a digital healthy family? Like the other time we talked about, of course, you need to learn how to communicate. So how does that come into building a healthy digital family in the household?
Thank you. That's quite broad, but I'll just try to take it in well, from an experiential perspective. So, parenting is a full-time job. It's a kind of full-time job that starts from when the child is born, and it goes on to be full-time until your children are independent enough to leave home. And in that phase, there are lots that they are discovering through you, and to a large extent, our children can really be limited by the amount of knowledge that we as parents have, which is where we have to be very intentional about learning. So that would come for our children in terms of exposure, as much exposure as we can give to them. So um, uh, when some of us were growing up, our parents might have decided in the future that you were going to be, a certain profession, you were going to do certain things, and so the experience that you had were tailored to that. um, it is more intelligent for us in this day and age as parents to not be stuck on one thing in particular, especially because the jobs that were regular and were the safe spaces when we were growing up, some of those jobs are going away. New jobs are coming, and discoveries are still there to be made. So. Uh, Apart from communication, which has been spoken about quite a lot, it is also to discover things and then take our children on that journey. So we're talking about screen time, for example. um, it is to regulate what the children watch. So it's not just to give them the screen time, to take time away from, to give us time to do something else. It might be, for example, you're checking something on engineering, and that's something we're doing with our children at some point. Just find a research video and sit with them, watch that, ensure that their minds are open. We have discussions about it, and another day it's another kind of video. So the time they are spending on the screen is intentional. We are ensuring that there is learning that is happening, in that regard. So to answer that question, and I hope I have done a bit of that, is to be willing as a parent to learn and then to go with the children on that journey. We will be able to bring them into things. We are going to realize that they will help us to learn things that we didn't know, except for the influence that they are bringing in. And then we can work with them to discover the things that they have interest in and help them to do more learning in that regard, so that we can make the most of the opportunities at hand. I'm done. You're muted, host.
Apologies. Yeah. The next question we're going to Pastor Akin will be helping us to answer this first. It says, my child was exposed to pornographic content online. How do I address this without stimulating wrong exploratory desires?
Okay. It's so sorry to hear that this is happening. I think we need to confront these issues. In the first place, you're confronting it, and it's not going to raise anything that has not already been raised. So don't avoid confronting it. So it's not going to start them exploring something that they haven't already been exposed to. It's now about a rewiring of the brain to set them on a different course. The certain doors have been opened, and we close these doors with other doors. We attempt to bring other interests. I guess the concern with some of these things is that how does this person now understand sex? How does this person now see these things? Are they now unclean? And so it's about giving the right information. I think that we should give children a lot of credit for being able to understand us, and we need to have communication and clear communication rather than hiding things and being cryptic. Nobody gets anything when they're cryptic, especially not children. They get things when we're open about them and we can be plain about what has happened and what they have seen and what they have been exposed to, and explain the difference between what that is and what the real wholesome thing is. Pornography is always scripted, it's always designed to present a different picture than what is real. So we now begin to open to them what is real. And then we close those doors with other doors, other interests. Pornography has very addictive capacities. It has the capacity to always draw back and draw in. We now open other doors, other interests that leave no room for going back to these things. Of course, because I'm a pastor, you're expecting me to say that we should pray as well. And obviously we should. And we must then, because these are spiritual things that are happening as well. So we must cover them a lot in prayers, explain what has happened, let them see what the difference is between that and what is wholesome, and then open doors to other interests. And if you don't mind, if I go back to the first question, for instance, and as we were speaking, I was trying to think back to 50 something odd years. Who taught me phonics? My parents were very busy, so I know it certainly wasn't my dad. It wasn't my mom because she was just as busy, but it certainly wasn't screens because there were no screens. There were human beings who took the time to engage me and to put things in front of me that led me along a certain path. And that's what we need to then do with our children, with everything. So it's been said, look, don't let others teach your child about sex. Get in there first and teach them what is wholesome and what is real and what is whole. And dare I say, go to the word of God for what is real, what is wholesome, what is whole, what is perfect, what is true, what is worthy of good repute, what is excellent. These things is what we should be putting in front of them, so that pornography then becomes obvious to them as the what is not whole, what is not wholesome. And we can say there is something that is whole, there is something that is wholesome. And in time, we begin to explore these other things. Whereas as a child, you're not ready to quite understand and grasp the whole thing. I hope that helps.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So the next question, which is
Sorry,
very close to, yeah, Sister Desola,
can
you
I
want to
can
go
I
for?
can I jump in? Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
please go for it.
yes, I think for a parent whose child has been exposed to this, I think your first point of gratitude, I think, is that you're aware. Okay, so it's not to beat yourself up and say, or to beat the child up. All right. I mean, we've clarified the fact that all of these things are around us. okay, unfortunately. And it is to be compassionate for towards children who are growing up around now. Okay, when I was young, if you wanted pornography, you would sweat. Okay, if it was in print form, maybe you could, stumble on it. But if you wanted a video, you would seek and seek and seek. If you eventually found it and you found a video cassette, you popped it in the video cassette. God help you if they took lights, right? If I grew up in Nigeria, so for those of us who have not experienced power cuts, sorry, but power cuts were part of my childhood. If power supply went off and that video was there, you either sat with it until power was restored to retrieve that your equipment. I mean, so it was a challenge. The children that are growing up today don't have to seek these things out. They are enemies of the well-being, the development, the success of children who are putting these things in front of them. Okay, people are sitting in meetings, they are strategizing, they're writing children's books, they're putting cartoons together that has pornography embedded in it. Okay, so there is a tactic. Now, what do you need to do? Strategy bows to superior strategy. Okay, and I really appreciate that Pastor has talked about praying. But while we are praying, we are watching. We're talking to these children. The odds that a child who is exposed to technology will come in contact with pornography is high, unfortunately. And the responsibility is ours. Okay, we need to be providing counter cultural information. Now, while we're doing that, we must also acknowledge that we're on the back foot. Okay, things have traveled so far into the future. People are having AR girlfriends, augmented reality. They're putting on these, and I really liked that when I saw the flyer design. They're putting on those equipment and they're interacting with AI forms of people. Okay, that is where things stand. Okay, that's how bad it is. But there is hope yet. We're talking about this, and hopefully parents are picking themselves up and saying, I need to do better. I need to do better. Your child comes in contact with porn, you're having that conversation. Playing the ostrich is not going to help you. Waving it and saying, God forbid, or what are those some of the things that we tell ourselves to avoid confronting certain things. We're having that conversation, and it's not for judgment. Hopefully, some of us who are not in that position yet would sit down with our children and let them know that, look, if you see anything that looks like this or like that, you come to me. You will not get in trouble. All right. You have not done anything wrong. Okay. You come to me. And then hopefully that interaction with that material meets a deposit inside of them. When the foundation is destroyed, that is what then constitutes a problem. So you set that foundation, you set that expectation to say, you might see something. Okay. This is what it might look like. You come to me. And obviously, we start that sex education conversation. And somebody is probably wondering, are you telling me I should tell my child the mechanics of sex? No. It starts with body identification. That's the foundation, okay? From the time a child can speak, they can describe things, you tell them this is what this is called, this is what that is called. And then you teach them body autonomy. Nobody comes in contact with you. Unfortunately, sexual abuse is not just physical anymore. It is now digital. So somebody intentionally exposes you to explicit material, that is sexual abuse. And we need to treat it as such. It is not, oh, it was another child. So we tell them, sorry about that. Okay, we address it. We follow safeguarding processes. If it's in school, every school has a safeguarding policy. You activate it. You handle it exactly the way it should be dealt with. If it's in a church or whatever, we have that conversation. All children under our watch will be protected as much as we can. So I just wanted to chip that in.
Emmanuel, please, can I just add something? Thank you so much, Coach Desola and Pastor Akin. I'm just going to come from a place of counseling. With there's this stigma that comes with it, stigma and shame. We must really address that, where the child feels so disgusted and ashamed and all of that stuff. So please, parents, make sure you deal with that. And even you might also feel regret. Why did they give them that device and all of that stuff? Communicate the feelings that both of you feel. I regret, giving you this device because I feel really bad that have exposed you to this. Ask them, how do you feel about this? Because the truth is, when a child is exposed to pornography, masturbation can ensue. I've lost count of the number of masturbation issues that I've dealt with teenagers. Really, really bad. So, like Pastor Aki said, disrupting that pattern is very, very important. Very, very important. And how do you disrupt it? Let them know what masturbation can do to them. I hope parents are aware that masturbation can lead to erectile dysfunction. The children do not know it. When I'm working with teenagers or young adults and I tell them this, that it can lead to erectile dysfunction, they're like, really? I say, yeah. And that can impact you having a child or not in the future. And no child wants that. So if they've been exposed to this, we need to let them know the pros and the cons. Yes, you'll be sexually aroused, but your body must not dictate what happened to you. So don't go doing what you're not supposed to do. Because there was a case where a young child, a classmate, primary school, group another child based on what they've seen. So you need to let them know what this could lead to. Be very, very open. Just tell them, please do not allow this become a part of you. And these are the dangers and these are the things that can happen. So let them know. Have that honest conversation with them. Because when we do, then when others, there's something they call the first law of mention. Wherever you hear a story first or something first, you tend to believe that source first. So if you're the parents, you are the first to tell them that, yes, unfortunately, you've seen this, but this is the part that they did not tell you. These are the pros and these are the cons. Sex is not just a bad thing, but if you do it as a couple, when you're married, that is how you have children. But if you start, you know, helping yourself and doing all sort of things, this is what could happen to you as well. So having that conversation age appropriately can also help as well, to help the child know that, okay, fine, mommy is not just telling me this is what they did not show me, and this is, they will believe it. So let's just have that conversation. And please don't shame the child and tell them they'll go to hellfire. Put fear in them. Let's not do that. Let's just be honest with them. All right, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Sorry, Emmanuel, just one last thing. I think that we should make it clear to children that this is a form of child abuse. These are adults who have done these things and making them available to children. It's abuse to the child. So the child understands what abuse is, and adults have no right to impose these kind of things. And by making available online, that's exactly what they've done.
Thank you so very much, Kaviva panelists. Thank you for dealing with that question. Hopefully, the person who's asked will find all of this really helpful. Yeah. So the question, which ties quite beautifully into the question you've just addressed, it says, are there apps or tools to monitor my child's internet exposure? And how do I flag any issues, especially if they don't know that I'm monitoring beforehand? So the children don't feel like mommy is just monitoring me, so they don't label me like a perv, sort of. So how do we address this, especially when you're dealing with teenagers? Are there apps or tools perhaps to monitor children's internet exposure, and how do you flag issues, especially if they don't know that you're monitoring these beforehand? So I'll be asking Sister DM Coach Desola and then Pastor Aki after Sister Desola.
Thank you for that. And I'm always rooting for parents. It can come across as a little bit heavy. It's because I recognize the power that you wield, the proximity that you have to your child, and just for asking, this curiosity just tells me you're trying, you're doing your best. So just keep pushing, okay? It'll all make sense in the end. So are there apps or tools that you can use to monitor your child's internet exposure? Yes, there are. Okay, every platform has its own restrictive tools, so you just need to dig into those apps. YouTube has there's an age limitation, right? You can reduce, you can flag certain words, you can flag certain kinds of content. Okay, I don't subscribe to unfettered access to YouTube because it's a minefield, isn't it? So you also need to exercise caution. And YouTube Kids does not make it entirely safe as well, because something is labeled kids does not make it entirely safe. Google Family Link is a good one. That's something that we use in our family. All the devices are on one, are connected to myself and my husband's accounts. The mechanics he can explain to you. My exposure to technology is carefully managed. Let's put it like that. So how they sometimes passwords. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this, but I've got my password somewhere. You're not supposed to write it down, but it's a yes. So he does all of that to set those screen time limitations. You can go into that app. You can see it there's certain things that some devices on our Google Family Link can't do. The ones that our older son has, our younger son does not have access to a device. And I should also say, and this is to answer the second bit, which says, how do I flag any issues, especially if they don't know that I'm monitoring beforehand? In our house, the fact that you have access to a phone does not make it your own. Until you start paying the bills, or until you can afford the phone, it's not your own. So it is our own, and we have loaned it to you. So the access is 100% ours. We cede a little bit of it to you. We yield a little bit of that control to you within certain restrictions, right? So that conversation is had before time. There is no take your phone. In fact, initially, whenever he says my phone, we're very quick to say, and then he says, okay, the phone. Now, when I say your phone, he's like, Mommy, is the phone. So we have that understanding now. So just letting him know that I can put restrictions on my device. And it's no shade to you, but you do not own it. So that ownership is clear from the outset. We've had to revisit contracts every now and again. We do write contracts in our family. If I put a phone or you have access to something, I expect that we understand how it's used. So we put that in writing. You sign, I sign. I'm talking about the children. You sign, I sign, and then we have something to revisit. So it's not hanging in my memory. It's not an assumption. You are clear on the expectations, right? And so I think that it's important to have those conversations beforehand. Now, if that conversation is had, then it's easy to say, I found out something was going on my phone. And can you explain that bit to me? Okay. It's a respectful exchange, especially when your child begins to grow. You want to move from instructing to coaching. Okay. And coaching is non-directive. Coaching is a conversation. So you sit them down and say, right, I observed this. Can you walk me through how we arrived at this point? And then you have an exchange. You have a conversation. Now, if you have not done that, then you then need to go back and revisit it. Okay, your approach is different. It's perhaps to go back and sit with the child to say, okay, we may have gotten off on the wrong foot. We may have approached this in a way, but I know better now. Okay, because I'm constantly learning. And now I have learned that we need to reorganize, reorder how things have been done. So now I am going to be keeping an eye on this device in so and so and so manner. It's that honesty, that transparency that would help that that relationship grow better. You need to trust your child. You need to trust that all the work that you're doing, all the talking, all the explaining, all the prayer is working. Okay, you need to trust that. And whenever that trust has been breached, then you quickly address it and you let them know this is what we agreed, this is what has failed, and then we need to have an action. And like Coach Abies, Sonia said earlier, agree to the consequence before the infraction. That's what makes it fair. If you don't, you're likely to be reactive, right? And reactivity sometimes puts you on the back foot. It then makes you seem like you're being mean, you're being unreasonable, you're being wicked, okay? So if you have a conversation, if this infraction occurs, what do we do? They bring the suggestion to the table. It reminds me of when our children were younger. We had a consequence jar. Okay, so around the table one day, while they were still 5, 6, 7, thereabout, we agreed, if I don't do this, this is what happens. And we wrote it in a little piece of paper, put it in a jar, and we put it on the mantelpiece. Yeah. And whenever they did that thing, you didn't need to tell them. They will go to that consequence jar and pick a consequence and execute it. So it was things ranging from, I will mop the house. That was how we discovered that our younger son liked to mop. So whenever he picked I will mop the house, he will be, yeah, and I'll be like, this is not working. But that was on a lighter note. So agree to the consequences before the infraction and follow through. Following through, that is your job as a parent. Are they going to like everything that you do? No. You didn't like everything that was done to you. Some of it, yeah, we can look in today's context and say it was abusive, but you got on with it. Okay, you got on with it. So let us exercise those restraints on behalf of our children. They don't have what it takes to make those high level decisions yet. That is just the fact of the matter. They will do their best, they will try, and we're going to continue to support them. But prefrontal cortexes don't develop until about 25, 26. So you can't be leaving decisions like, things like, access to Snapchat in the hand of your 13, 14-year-old. It's just not a reasonable approach. Okay, so yes, there are tools. I'm coming back to the question now. Yes, there are tools. And when there are issues, confront them, address them, set those benchmarks prior to the infraction, and follow through. Thank you.
Great stuff. I think that Coach D has mentioned quite a few things. When I heard the question, the part that stuck out to me was especially if they don't know beforehand. And my question is, why should they not know beforehand? We're going to make it clear. This, even, Coach D's style is different from mine. We've given you a phone, give it to you on your birthday, so it's your property. But even you don't own yourself. I have a responsibility for you, and I take that responsibility seriously. If the internet or screens are your playground now, that's fine. When I was young, outside was my playground, but I wouldn't simply go without my mother assenting to it, without my father knowing where I was, who I was with, what happened while I was there, when I'm coming back home. So it was closely monitored. So whatever playground you're on is closely monitored. It's my responsibility. And I make it clear, I'd be shirking in my responsibility if I wasn't monitoring what you were doing online. I mean, Coach Abies, Sonia has mentioned all these things, all these dangers that are lurking in all the corners. And because you're young, you can't recognize all these things. I can. I've been around long enough to be able to say these are the dangers, and I take my responsibility. So I make it clear to you that I'm going to be, so all these apps and all that, Google Screen Time and all that allows me to go back per time to check on history. And if you think that you're smart and you know how to delete history, guess what? I think one thing that children don't seem to understand is they look at us and they think we're dinosaurs. I've been using Google for longer than you have. I've been using AI longer than you have, and I'm still using it. You understand? So I'm not, again, I guess that's encouragement to parents. One of you need to know, and if you're a single parent, you need to know something about how to find out these things. And they can't constantly be outsmarting. I'm not saying that there are not times when, in those days, we outsmarted our parents. We had diaries they didn't know about. They put phones, those rotary dial phones. We knew how to get through. So there are times when we will be outsmarted, but never let it be that we're shirking our responsibility because we don't want you to feel bad that we're checking. We certainly don't want you to feel that we're parents who don't take our responsibility serious. So like Coach D said previously, it's the contract is I will check. That's my job. I will pick up the phone every now and again and go through things without you knowing about it. There are times when I will invite you and we'll talk about these things. And, if I come across your diary, I'm going to read it sometimes. I trust you, but it will make interesting reading for me sometimes. And it's my responsibility. You're my responsibility. And I can't simply let you. Even God doesn't just let us. If he does, then he's saying, look, go and hurt yourself. Just get yourself in trouble and we'll sort it out. Unfortunately, I'm not God and I can't always sort you out when things have gone awry. So I need to be on top of it and be teaching as we go along. That's my responsibility. hopefully we've set such foundations for our children so that whatever comes in meets like I think it was about me who was saying meets a foundation that either accepts those things or repels those things. And hopefully where I think that we just need to work on our relationships with our children enough to recognize, look, I'm a parent. I can be friendly with you, but I'm not one of your little friends ultimately. I can be friendly with you and we can have normal conversation and communication, and you should always be comfortable to speak to me. But we have those foundations and those safeguards in place. So I think that I'm all for the child knowing beforehand. I'm FBI on you every night. It's not like Coach Abies Sonia said, it's not because I don't trust you, but it's a bad world out there and I take my responsibility seriously.
Yes, sorry, can I just pick up from part of where Pastor ended? And it is to say that communication is important. So we have these tools that we can measure what's going on, check what's going on. But the communication that we already have going before this technology came by is really important. So there's something that Desola does, and she has an alarm on her phone for checking with our children. And it's something they look forward to as well. So maybe something has come up, you're talking about that specifically, or maybe it's just nothing, maybe it's just time to chat and all that. So that if we happen to discover something that gives us concern, then you're not having a conversation because, oh, now something has gone wrong. You're having a conversation that is based on set and clear and friendly patterns of communication. So you're addressing something that has come. You're not happy about it, but because there is friendship, even though, yes, as Pastor said, we're not the little friends, we have a higher responsibility, but there's friendship that this communication is based on. So I found something, it's suspect, I'm not jumping to a conclusion, I'm coming to you, this is something, can you explain what's going on here? So that the children, if they've done something wrong, really, of course they will be scared, there will be that guilt that has come in, but it won't so overpower it won't override on what the meat of the matter is, and then we can get to talk about that. Also, as FBI, we have to be able to tell ourselves it's not everything that you see that you would react to. You have to measure that, and every now and then my wife and I have that conversation. So we saw this, I saw this, or you saw this. Is this something we should take up right now? Is this something that possibly has come up in a conversation that we've had? Because there is that amount of trust that we give to the children, and they need to know that we trust them. And when we do bring up something, if it's something that needs to be flagged, we need to also let them know we trust you, right? There's been that much investment in you. We trust that you are a good boy, a good girl. You know what is right. We trust that you try to make the best decisions, every step of the way. This one we feel might not be the best decision. This is why, and then let's have a conversation about it. So, a communication that we had prior to technology, to our devices, I think is really important for us to keep going, and to build whatever will come up on. Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Well dealt with. Thank you so much. So this will be for Coach Sonia. So we've been talking about balance so far. So this question is about whose balance are we optimizing for when we're talking about building a balance, building a healthy digital family? Whose balance are we optimizing for? Is it the child's and well-being? Is it the parent's peace of mind? So I only expose you to what gives me peace of mind, even though yeah, or the family's collective rhythm or your values. And the second question will be what happens when we have different pullings in different directions. So the first part of the question is when we're talking about balance, is it mainly about the child? Is it about the parents' peace of mind, or is it just about what keeps the family moving, So we don't cross lines, we don't cross boundaries. So please help us deal with that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. So I'm going to just do an example. That word balance, I'm not a big fan of it. So when you hold something like this, right? And then if I drop something that is bigger than on the other side, what's going to happen? It's going to wobble, right? So balance is overrated. When you're doing balance, there is a possibility that at one point you will drop the ball on one side, right? So what I go with is harmony. I love the word harmony. You harmonize the family. And how do you do that? By knowing your family values and your stuff. So in my family, we have something like this. We have our values. It's printed here. It's in the room. It's on the hallway. I will put it there. Our family, as in who are we as a family, right? So the Ebenezer Bamic Bible family thought is guided by Philippians 4:8. We think what is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if anything is excellent, and if anything is praiseworthy. That's our family thought process. That's the way we go. Now, when you talk about balance, what's more important? We are a unit. So why is there the children and then parents? You're already separating the family like that. We shouldn't separate the family. We are all together as a unit. The family, the parents, they deserve to have peace of mind. The children deserve to have peace of mind as well, in order for us to have wholesome balance in our life. So this is why I said we harmonize everything. And a lot of us have used that word. Mr. Bayomi has used the word. Pastor Akin has used the word. Coach D has used the word communication. It comes back to it. So the foundation is very important. How do we optimize that harmony in our family? It's through communication. Who are we as a family? Who are you as a family? Are you raising beauty pageants or are you raising holistic children? So this is where we'll bring everything together. Because I want to be able to, I'm not going to be with my children every time. Nobody can be with their child anytime. So you need to give them a template they can dive into. If mom is not there, if dad is not there, what will they do? So which is why we use that Philippians 4. Your friend is asking you to go and do this so that you can be part of the trend. Is this a good thought? Is it going to lead you to a good destination? You be the one to evaluate that. If you get caught, what's going to happen? So you don't need to call me to ask me. My friend is saying I should do a sleepover. You don't even bring that discussion close to where I am. Because we know what sleepover is. We don't do sleepover. You don't say, my mommy said I don't. No, we don't do sleepover, period. So if that's what you go and sleeping with in your friend's house, what will make you have a good well-being? My dear, you have to find another route. Because you know that has been discussed. The dangers has been discussed. The pros and the cons has been discussed as a family. So as a family, how do we also behave in terms of everything, whether in finances, whether in friendship? How do we choose friends? So there are loads of things that come into play. It's a very subjective subjective question because different people have different approach. For me, I would say have harmony in your life. Let everybody know what the family stands for so that you can run your template between anything that the choices that you are making, if it's going to be in alignment with the family or in alignment with the family, then you will make that decision. Because if you not say, oh, the children's well-being, what if the children's well-being is to stay late in the night to 10 o'clock outside? So I should now authorize that because you want a good well-being. It ain't gonna happen. Because in the family, we don't do that. So when you are not prioritizing, so a child, I would say as a child, what are you prioritizing your well-being on? What would you see that will make you realize that you have a good well-being? Is it in alignment with the family? As a parent, is it me leaving my children and flying away to different country and doing cruise? Is that what will improve our well-being? What happened to the children as well? So you see, when you separate it, you are already separating the family. Our goal here is to bring unity to the family. What we are doing is it should be unified. harmony. I always call my family members my stakeholders. Like, for example, when I went back to school and I had to tell all of them, Mommy is going back to do this extra course. I will need everybody's input in it. It's part of our growth. So I will need you that the days I'm not able to do certain things and your father is not doing certain things with you, you need to pay attention. You need to excuse me at that time. If I'm the one that normally take you to for gymnastic and daddy normally take you for swimming, if dad is not doing both of them and you're missing out on that time with me, you have to bear with me. It's not going to be forever. It's till this time. And after which we'll go back to our normal routine again. So they know that all of their cooperation will help me to achieve my goal well, which will also better the family. So when my child is doing, when she was doing her A levels, we have to excuse her near her exam from the house shows. And every other person have to step up. Why? Because she need all that time to zone in and lock in, like they call it now, locking into studying. So we gave her that excuse. So for our well-being, so that she not say, stress. I'm still doing my shows. I've not done my study. Okay, fine. You stay closer to your exam time. You don't do the shows. Every other person will cover you. If another person is also doing something, the same thing. You have a gymnastic competition, you need to do, we'll excuse you of certain things for a time being. So can you see how we collectively contribute to the well-being of everybody per time? So I think that's more sustainable. Oh, maybe dad is going to be traveling and then you will not be able to pick you on the days they pick you. You have to use the public transport. Yeah, that might make you come home a little bit later than usual, but we have to communicate this. And you know that it's temporarily. So you will do that. So I feel harmonize everybody. You are a stakeholder to each other's life. Knowing that your choices and your decisions will affect the collective, our collective as a family member. So we have to be guided and knowing the values as well. So you can't say because you want to have a good mental health, you now have to do shopping or I have to buy you Nike Pro Max that is 100 or 200 pounds. My dear, that your mental health, you have to resolve it somewhere else. Maybe going into nature with me because I ain't gonna spend that money on you. How much do I buy my shoes? So you see, we have to bring it back to that values. Everybody know the values in the house. So whatever you're going to put around your mental health, it has to be in alignment with our values. If not, it's not going to work. Because I will not go into debt because of a child. So we have to align it to the family values. It comes back. It comes back to it. Family values, family values. Have your family values. Please, it's so important. It makes your life easy. They bring anything, you bring it back and say, is this in alignment with our family values? Let's check it too. Do we not follow trend like this now? Is this part of our family values? Your work is already cut out for you. So have your family values, have your beliefs, have your mantra, because your values will help you on how you experience life. Have your thoughts and your mantras. When you have this communicated to the family, it will make your life so easy. Please don't divide the family. Oh, and some people tell me they have to do certain things. Father will do this, mother. No, don't do that. Let's bring everything in harmony and let everybody know what their role is. I think it might not suit everybody, but I believe family is one. We are all one. So let's help each other to stay together as a collective. Our peace of mind is together. If I behave very badly, so for example, if my daughter mental health is to wear a short skirt. So if I come to school with a shorter skirt to pick you, how will you feel? When the boys in your class are not doing like, how would you feel? It's the truth. You want your mental health to be okay. You want to dress the trend. Okay, no problem. When I'm picking you from school, I'll wear a shorter one. How is that your mental health going to be? Because you're going to be embarrassed. So you see why you have to bring it together as units together, as a unit. I think that's more sustainable. That's my take on it. I'll eat my mic here.
Thank you so much. I know Coach D wants to add something, but really great stuff. Coach Sonia, I mean, one of the highlights of your response would be how you were able to, without any prior notice, bring out your family values, what you already have at home. And I think you really deserve that applause for walking the talk, really, because no one prepared you for that. To be able to just say, yeah, we have this in place. And that really sold it for me. So great job. So Coach D, the same question, but within the context of a child who is really gifted. So as a parent, I only know so much. I have a child who is really gifted, and I think they need some more exposure tech-wise. So how do we um establish the harmony in this instance?
Coach Sonia, so much to talk about. And I just want to second what you said in terms of that family governance structure. Everything comes back to that. Everything comes back to that. You have your family governance, you have your values, you have your creed, as we like to call it, you have your ideology, you have your constitution. Okay, this is who we are. The family identity is clear to everybody. And the earlier the better. Somebody might be thinking, oh, we haven't put that in place. Well, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. Next best time is today. So get on with it. Okay, get that clarity. The clearer your child is on who they are and who you expect them to be, the better they can fall in alignment. And what I always say is, if the roadmap is not clear to a person, if a destination is not clear to a person, everywhere is going to seem like an option. Okay, and there is confusion in this generation. I mean, we can all agree with that. There is massive confusion. People are identifying as all sorts of things. I was watching a video, and I'll come back to your question in a minute, Emmanuel. I was watching a video, and this gentleman, I mean, kind of like my husband's stature, had joined this meeting of people who are like 3 times my size, right? And it was a fat support group or something along those lines. And this guy had joined, and they were asking him on the Zoom call that, why are you here? He said, I identify as a fat person. And the girls were like, as how? And the host was trying to be nice, politically correct and all. And the guy was like, I identify as a fat person. Are you saying I can't be here? How do you look at your size 10 and identify as size 22? How? Again, it is to that confusion. I mean, a lot of it is fueled by technology, and we need to accept that. That is how media is, dissemination of information is leveraged. You push it out. Children, their minds are not developed. They hear it enough. They accept it as truth. And that's why we have gone again and again at that message where anything your child comes in contact with must must, must meet something there. If it does not meet anything, then they fall foul, okay? And that law of first mention is very, very critical. Now, your child is gifted. Obviously, you may find that you are limited in scope. And I have this fantastic book, if you have not read it, Side Eye, Becoming an Ocean. And it's all about expanding yourself, because the analogy is the shark and the aquarium. If you are an aquarium, your shark grows to the length of the aquarium and they stop growing. You take that same shark, you put them in the ocean. The vastness of the ocean reminds that child that, gosh, I'm not small, I'm not tilapia, right? I am a shark. And then they can begin to emerge. So for you as a parent, you are adopting that learning posture. You are looking for tools. And I say to parents sometimes that your child in your neck of the woods is compared or is competing with a child in Japan. Now, if you want to go to the technology center of the world where they have done massive things, you want to look at that part of Asia. How do you bring that reality? How do you expose your child to that world? Again, in that controlled environment. And my encouragement to you is find those access points. Now, it may suggest our conversations may have kind of made you begin to think that we are saying technology is bad. No, it is not all bad. There is use, there is positive, there are opportunities for growth, for expansion. I mean, we are in different parts of the world. Earlier, we were all mentioning where we're joining from, and we're here in this time and space because somebody dared to put a tool together, right? The person looked at communication, looked at social interaction and said, how about we do a video call where up to 1,000 people can come together? You can even extend the size of Zoom meetings beyond 1,000 attendees if you ask for those special permissions. That is technology. And sometimes I worry about the next 50, 100 years with the kind of conversations that seem to take priority in the minds of this generation's children, their youth. You look at trending topics and you're like, this is what people are talking about. This is trending. What top 10 trending? I mean, look at Nigerian social media, for instance. Top 10 trending topics, funny stuff. And you're like, how are you going to build the next hyperloop that will take me to France in 2 minutes if this is what is priority to you? Now, the people who are going to exceed expectations in terms of innovation are going to need to leverage technology. That is why we say every generation is an improvement on the previous one. Okay? If that improvement is going to happen, they're going to need to harness what they have in the present time. So your child is gifted, they need exposure. You need exposure. What we're saying is ensure that you are fully present. You are aware of what is going on. Send your child to those schools. I mean, Coach Sonia talked about family systems earlier. One of the systems that we teach in family systems engineering is the economic system. If your child is going to go to an MIT, I don't know, as at yesterday, as at this morning, it's not free. Okay, so if you're going to fund that kind of education, you are asking yourself, what do I need to begin to set aside? This child has been born. What investments do I need to start making so I can fund that level of exposure for this child? And we talk about observing your child. We talk about spending those times, those windows with them, quality over quantity, because you can be at home all day. If you're on TikTok and Instagram, you're not better than the person who went out and left that child on their own. Right? So what kind of conversations are you having? You're picking up on those signals. Wow, this child is gifted in this area. Oh, they seem to have certain questions. They're asking questions that even me, I'm not understanding. What does that trigger you to do? You begin to put preparations in place. You begin to look for forerunners. We teach about forerunners. You look for people who have gone ahead in those fields, people who have achieved massively in those areas. You begin to connect your child with them. If we're talking about that high quality digital content, you're putting their videos. They're having mental intercourse with those people. You're looking at people. There's this young, I think he was 22 or thereabout, who released a movie in Hollywood using one camera, and that movie has I think made $100 million at the box office. Your child is creative in that regard. That's who you want to be talking to. That's whose videos you want to expose them to on YouTube, right? They're having those conversations. They're looking at that person's trajectory. Okay, so they went to this school and they went to that school. This one of the only female astronaut on Artemis 2 that went to space recently and did that orbit around the moon. Her parents used to take her to space camp. She went to at least 5 space camps when she was a child. That is them recognizing that there's something here, there's an interest here, and they expose the child to it. Okay, so absolutely, it's not to suggest that you shut the door on technology. We can admit that it is here to stay. How do we then harness? How do we make the most of it? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Coach D.
So
I'll let Coach Sonia address a comment.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you
Mr.
very. Sorry, Mr. Abayomi.
sorry, but if I just wanted to touch on another perspective to this question before you take on the other one, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because I was
Okay.
looking at this question, right? And we're talking about balance, it says, but Coach Sonia said, look, let's look at it as harmony. But where might it be coming from, especially when you talk about the parents' peace of mind? And I think it's something we should look at because sometimes as parents, we may deal with our children out of frustration for something that they are not responsible for. Right? Maybe, life is not going a certain way that you want, and then the child has needs according to something they want to do, and then you're wondering, should I prioritize what you want over the state of maybe finances or opportunities, and all of those things. So and in that wise, a certain movie title came to mind earlier. Why did I get married? Right? Why did I start a family? Sometimes, in most cases, we have a choice as to starting a family, and we decide to start a family. In many cases, we decide to have children. Sometimes it's not entirely up to us. But at the point where we realize that we're going to have children, what are the thoughts that we had? What are the plans we put in place? And that kind of thing comes into the governance system that you had. So the scale is kind of tilted in that wise. The child is not responsible for themselves. They didn't bring themselves into the world. So from that perspective, as a parent, we need to first and foremost show up from the position of responsibility for the child, it is not to suggest that everything the child wants or asks for, you are able to provide, but it is to recognize this is my responsibility. And then back to that communication. If I am not able to do it, it's not then to take out my frustration on the child. It is to have conversation and say, this is something that you want, and I see that it is something that will be good for you, and it is my desire for you to have it. However, for whatever reasons there are, we're not able to do this right now, but we will work towards it. Let the child know if it's something you are able to set a time limit to, based on reality. Let the child know. If you are not able to, do not make a promise that you are not able to keep. What you want is for the child to understand. So it's not stop asking me for blah, 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 as some of us might want to do, right? A child asking for something is not out of place. As a matter of fact, the child should ask, and we should be happy when our children ask us rather than ask other influences that may be out there. But when we are unable to do that which we desire to do, with the children want to do, then we should address those things by coming to have a chat with them. I thought it was necessary to raise that. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Do I still have a few minutes, Mr. Iman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Mr. Albayami, for that. The question was, we should also think towards the reality of co-parenting and single parenting. And that contribution really resonates with me, because I do counseling with parents that are doing co-parenting. And one of the challenges that I've heard them discuss about is I have a way of doing things for my child. The child has a bedtime, has a routine and everything, so that their well-being will be okay. But when they go to their dad's place, their dad has a different way of doing things. He can leave the child to be online all night, be on games and do whatever pleases. So whenever the child comes back, everything is disrupted. So what do I do for my own well-being? Because I'm pulling my hair out here. So I don't understand that part. It goes back to that word, I'm sorry, like a broken record, is communication. You have to have that conversation with the person, with your partner, or with the person you are co-parenting with, and say, see, we may not like each other anymore. However, whatever decision we are going to make concerning this child that we have been blessed with, we have to make it from the perspective of, will this contribute to the wellness of our child, of raising a child that is awesome? We may not like each other, but this is the reason why I set this routine. Please, can you remember? If you cannot remember, whenever the child is coming, I'll write it down. It's not like I'm saying you forget, but I do know we all have different ways we learn. There are some people, when you talk to them auditory, they get it. There are some, they have to see that visual. You have to write it down. If you want me to put it in his backpack when he's coming so that you know his routine, then we agree. Because some children will say, Mommy, allow me, and Mommy does not. They just want to trick daddy. So you need to have that communication, because if the child knows that both of you are at longer heads, they will do things to manipulate that situation to their advantage. Children can do that. Not because they hate you, but they just want to have their own leeway to do whatever they want to do. So have that communication. Now, if you are dealing with a difficult spouse, maybe this is the time, I'm sorry, a lot of people will not argue with this. Maybe that person should have minimal contact, not a sleepover. They should just have a contact where they meet somewhere. They have access to this child, but the child cannot sleep over. If you are causing so much disruption, maybe by the time that parent, whether it's the woman or the man that is doing, you know that if you carry on disrupting this, I may have to look for a way whereby the child will not sleep over. Then you will just meet somewhere and have contact with your child. Minimal contact then. Maybe that will make them wake up. Because I know some spouses can be really difficult. Now, why am I saying it? I have a client whereby this was the situation, whereby the person was really difficult. And it's a minimal contact, and they will rebuild it up again. So at this point, they are with email exchange through the solicitor. And after which, they'll build it up to the contact where they will have... is it FaceTime they call it now, where they speak and they can see each other. And then from there, they are going to build it up to where it can just go during the weekend, it can just go overnight. And then during the holiday, they'll build it up where it can just go during the 6th holiday, can go longer. So they are building up the trust again. So you can adopt that process as well. But I do understand and I empathize with whoever is in this situation. It's never easy, whereby sometimes the partner might use it to spite you. But always remind them it's not about me. You might hate me, but please, our child, let's do what's best for them. I will yield my mic here. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a really insightful and great question and answer session. And just for the sake of the wealth of experience that you guys will bring to the next question, I think we should have this as the last question for the Q&A session. So after Coach D's session, we can, if you're able to accommodate a question or two, then we'll address them. Otherwise, the questions will be answered via, if you have any questions, of course, we can send you emails in response to your questions. So the final question for this panel discussion right now would be, for a child that already has ADHD or attention difficulty, does that make screens more dangerous or more helpful as a coping tool, or does it depend entirely on what they are using it for? So I'll let Coach D go for this first.
All right, thank you. So they already have ADHD. What screens will do is make that attention deficit worse, because that is the design. Okay, that is what it is meant to do. It provides that immediate stimulation, that immediate response. Okay, and that is what that ADHD tendency is needing. That is what it is wanting. So it is going to worsen inattention, is going to increase their impulsivity, it's going to disrupt sleep. Okay, so all of it does not make it better. I think it just, that question, does it make screens more dangerous? Yes, it does. Okay, it does. It might seem to meet a short-term need, right? So that child is acting out as expected, and then you give them a screen and it seems they are quieting down. But what is the long-term consequence? What is the cost on the long term? Okay, that's what you need to ask yourself. So this is an empathetic situation, especially if the parent doesn't have the necessary alternate coping strategy. So it's understandable if you default to what you know, and that's why, you know, we're not shaming anybody. We're not saying, oh, you're bad, or you caused this, or you're responsible for this. Today is a fresh day. Okay, when you wake up is your morning. If this is what you have been doing to manage, you need to begin to find alternatives. Okay. ADHD, those kind of tendencies, ADHD is fully diagnosed, isn't it? But tendencies like impulsivity, lack of ability to listen to instruction, acting out and not complying, tantrums and all. Screen time has been linked to all of these behaviors, okay? Excessive screen time has been linked to all of these behaviors. Early exposure has been linked to all of these behaviors, okay? So you want to while it could be a contributing factor, you don't want to blame yourself, right? However, it cannot be your continued default. You need to begin to find alternate ways to manage that tendency in the child. And to be honest, there is this conception that children with neurodiversity cannot be taught or cannot learn social behavior. Yes, they have those deficits because of their condition or their neurodiverse state. However, they can still learn with consistency. They can learn environmentally appropriate behavior. Okay, they can learn to manage themselves in certain situations. It is harder for the parent to deliver these outcomes, but it is not impossible. So what I'm saying is, you cannot then throw in the towel and say, right, my child has ADHD, so I'm going to hands off. I'm not even going to bother. Some children with oppositional defiance disorder, oh, they have it, they've been diagnosed, so I'm not even going to. No, you continue to show up. You continue to meet the child at the point of their need. Your approach might be different, yeah, and that is what you need to seek out, okay? Does it depend entirely on what they're using it for? Again, it is that continuous exposure, and think of what it does to their ADHD brains. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else on the panel want to add to that? Or we can keep it wraps?
I can quickly add to it. You do know that sometimes when we expose these children to devices, it can also overstimulate them as well. They get really overstimulated. So I do go to schools and just to empower children on how to manage their mental and emotional well-being. And I remember just before summer, I went to a school that based all of them there, they've got autism or ADHD. And you will be surprised that these children, they have a routine and they follow it. Coach Desola said something, it might be more difficult for the parents because maybe they are not patient enough, or maybe they do not have the training that the teachers have, or maybe because of work. So there's a lot of time restraint and all of that stuff. But the truth is, in school, these children, their class sizes are not big. You might have 5 of them in a class. ISU will have maybe about 7 or 8. But I tell you what, I did 6 sessions with them. And in that 6 sessions, only once did I see one blocking the corridor when he was having a fit. So come on, in a 6 week program, only once. That says a lot. That they can follow when you give them a routine. And to be honest, routine help them to function well so that they do not get overstimulated. If you say yes, 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 yes to everything, they will get overstimulated. And that will sensory overload, and you will see them lashing out because you have overloaded them with. Imagine they wake up in the morning, you give them a device. Every time they are just there. So their head do not have time. Take them to nature. I saw them take them to nature. There's this garden stuff. Get them out to play ball. And an eye coordination. That's what you're doing. There were loads of activities to help them. They had relaxation time to just relax, and the room as well. Make it very peaceful and calm. Put the sensory music on, the white, they call it the white music or something. I can't remember. Yeah. So it's just sound and it helped them. And then the light is dim. So you create the environment. So focus on creating the right environment. Focus on learning. You are here now. You have a neurodiverse child. You need to go and find out the training that is needed. It is not only for teachers. Parents can do this training. So you need to understand it will make your life peaceful. It will make the child have that consistent routine from school to home, from home to school. And then you see them, they will respond better. So I would say be open up to learning. Ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. Ask school, I'm really struggling. Is there any resources that you can point me to? Is there any signposting? They will help you with these things. So I would say get yourself informed, create a sensory room and all of that stuff. They are very tactile as well, some of them, right? So get them those things to feel. It helps a lot. I will just stop here. It's not always devices. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so very much to the panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with your reaction button, just let's give them a round of applause. So thank you for them sharing the wealth of knowledge and experience. Thank you so very much. So we'll be having 3 minutes quick break. Just get your bottle of water. Of course, you can always share the invite link with your friends. So we'll meet by 1:45 for the last session of the day, and then we'll be taking some questions afterwards too. Thank you. See you by 1:45.
Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Or do you want me to carry on then?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I didn't know. I thought you were going to say something. Well, hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you were not here earlier when I doffed my hats for parents, especially parents such as yourselves, who invest in their parenting in a manner such as this. I mean, for every time you've picked up a parenting book, attended a parenting conference, joined a parenting support group, well done. Okay, well done. A parent's work is tasking, it is heavy, it is loaded with responsibility, and it should be. It should be, because you do have the future literally in your hands. And if the world is going to continue to exist as a wholesome, safe space for generations to come, then us parents, caregivers, we need to do a smashing job. Okay, we absolutely need to. The quality of our experience in the world today, even relating to technology, is because people have gone ahead and people are constantly doing great work in that regard. Okay, yes, there are issues, yes, there are problems, but it is the age that we live in. Okay, and I just want to say well done before I go into my session. Right, my name is Desola. As you know, it is always a privilege to speak with parents, and in the progression of my work, I now teach parenting coaches. And again, it's gratifying, okay, that a lot of people are getting involved. They're getting that important knowledge. They are training that parenting skill, because it is a skill. I've heard interesting things like, well, parenting is just, is one of those things that you figured out. Unfortunately, that mindset is a limiting one. It's not a growth mindset at all, because anybody who understands growth knows that learning is involved, knows that interrogating several ideas and perspectives is involved. So that closed approach of, well, I was parented a certain way and I'm going to do just that. Well, you were not parented in the age of the AI. All right. Your parents didn't have to deal with technology in the way that parents today have to, right? They are not looking at algorithms. They are not stressing over chat rooms. They are not wondering who their child may or may not be speaking with at the end or the other side of a Roblox game. Okay, so it's an entirely different world. And the earlier we get on board with it, the earlier we begin to approach it from that unique perspective, the earlier we learn, the better for us and for the children that we are going to be delivering into the world. Okay. By the end of this session, you would have learned practical tools in how to manage technology in your home. You would have learned useful frameworks and strategies to reduce conflict around device use. Now, for some of us, we are so blessed and lucky in the sense that we have not exposed our children to devices yet. Okay, so you're not dealing with that conflict, but it will come. All right. So for anyone who has a young child who is still blissfully in that, storybooks, coloring, water play, and what have you, well done. Yeah. However, it's going to change, and it's going to change very quickly. I say to parents, as beautiful as it is to do all this work, to invest in your child and all, you can't raise your child in a bubble. Right? So you are doing all this, amazing work. You're protecting your child. You're putting safeguards and all, as we discussed in those Q&A sessions. But other other children's parents are not doing the same thing. So that coexisting needs to be managed, and it needs to be acknowledged for what it is. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I attended a play, and on your screen, what you have is three newspaper, if you will, cutouts, captions, right? At the top, you have Generation FOMO. Now, it's a play that was written by this brilliant lady, Isabel Defoe, right? And I say written, but she didn't exactly write it. What she did was that she interviewed 11 to 25-year-olds in different parts of the UK, and she did this over a course of 2 years. Now, what she then did was took their responses to certain questions, interview questions, and she put it together as a script. Now, what jumped out for me when I attended this play, beyond the depiction of the impact that exposure to technology, exposure to social media has had on young children's minds, was the fact that one of the actors, who is now an A-levels 21-year-old student, said she is grateful that her mom restricted her use of devices when she was younger. She did not like it at the time, right? But now in hindsight, she's grateful because she sees what it's done to her friends. She sees the dependency that has resulted from early exposure, from continuous unmanaged exposure, right? And I thought, wow, what a self-aware statement to come to the other side and say, I appreciate that restraint. I appreciate that restriction. The second caption there, which references Peter Thiel, who is a venture capitalist, PayPal co-founder, early Facebook inventor. And that caption tells us that himself and other tech billionaires are publicly shielding their children from the products that made them rich. Now, for me, it's a pause situation. It's like, hang on a minute. You are putting all of this out there for us to consume. Yes, some of those devices are a little bit pricey, but you are now restraining and withholding it from your own children. Why? Why? What is it about it that is making you, tech billionaires have loads of available money. So it's not a cost issue. There is something that they know that may not be immediately apparent to those of us on the outside of that space. Now, as far back as 2010, Apple co-founder Steve Jobs told a New York Times reporter, and he said his children have never used an iPad. Steve Jobs, his children have never used an iPad, and they ensure that they limit how much technology their children use at home. Another one of those tech billionaires, Steve Chen, who is the YouTube co-founder, said at a talk that he held at Stanford Graduate School of Business, and this was last year, he said he wouldn't want his children consuming only short form content. He said he notes and agrees that it is better to limit children to videos longer than 15 minutes. That's attention span management, isn't it? One of my biggest problems with TikTok is that short video loop. That consistent, you don't even need to intervene. It just keeps providing that content, providing that dopamine stimulation, right? And this is a YouTube founder who makes shorts, right? We can hold him responsible. He makes shorts saying that he thinks it's better to limit video content for children to videos that are longer than 15 minutes, because shorter form videos equates shorter attention spans. Other tech CEOs, including Bill Gates, Snapchat, Evan Spiegel, Tesla's Elon Musk, have also spoken about limiting their children's access to devices. Bill Gates specifically said that he does not give his children smartphones until the age of 14. And he ensured that he banned phones at the dinner table entirely. Snapchat CEO says he limits his child's video access to 1.5 hours per week. TikTok CEO, I've talked about TikTok, he says he believes that his children are too young to use TikTok. And then said, well, perhaps if they lived in the US and had access to rigorous protections with the platform's under 13 settings, he might consider it, right? He said an 8-year-old child is too young to use TikTok. And I could go on and on with these examples of tech billionaires, like I said, reducing their children's access to technology, to screens, to social media in different forms. Now, the third headline is the recent announcement where the UK joined countries like Australia in banning social media access for under 16s, right? Ofcom released that statement and they said, look, this is what we're doing. The execution, the implementation of that point of view is not fully clear yet, but they have held a position. Now, if we have all of these examples, what does that tell us as parents who are raising children in this age? It is to exercise caution, is to check, like we have said earlier today, why? What are we trying to achieve when we put devices in front of our children? Is it for their learning? Is it for their development? Is it because it's trending? That's what everybody is doing. Once a child is born, you get them an iPad because that's what appears. Let me not say all. It appears all parents around you are doing the same thing. Technology is woven into childhood, is woven into entertainment, schoolwork, friendships, gaming, creativity, and communication. So the truth of the matter is, technology is not the enemy. It is where we are. It is what this age is about. But we're not raising our children around technology. We're raising them with it. And the earlier we accept that, the better. So my conversation with you today is not about creating a technology-free home. It makes our lives better, okay? It is to create a technology-healthy home. Now, I've put some stats up. I'll just take a minute to go through those. These are current UK statistics that explain the current challenge in terms of the access children have to technology, the length of time they spend on it, children ranging from 8 to 14, spending an average of 3 hours, 36 minutes online each day. Children ranging from 15 to 17, that rising to 8 hours, right? Now, speaking with those children, those 8 to 17-year-olds say sometimes it's too high. Even they themselves know that is too high. But as you and I can agree, a child does not have the capacity to restrain themselves from something that feels good. That's why we can't leave the decision entirely to them. And that's why we talk about managing exposure. I use my children as an example. My children did not play video games until, and my husband can help me with this, until they were about 11, 12, right? Our first son did not have access to digital games and, and all of that. Even though he does now, it is very restrictive. Anything outside of football, I'm not understanding why somebody is stabbing somebody on a screen, or why a game is teaching you to snatch cars and do funny things. I'm not understanding because it just conflicts with our value system, right? So we will not put a child in front of that. And what that has done, now his younger brother started a bit earlier because his older brother was doing it, and it would seem a bit too restrictive, but it's still carefully managed, okay? What that has done for us is, if they are put in front of a game, the expectation, the agreement is 1 hour maximum. And the explanation to them is, you're managing your sight because you can't continue to look at the screen for that long. It's not good for your sight. It's not good for your mental development as well, okay? Because it's passive, right? It's passive. You are not absorbing, you are not creating something. We are creators in our family. And beautifully, earlier, Coach Sonia showed us their family values and family ideology. We are creators. We have that identity. So more of our time is leaned towards that, not anything else, not bells and whistles, not trending. That's not who we are, right? But having those restrictions in place makes it easy for them to detach, and delaying exposure makes it easy for them to detach. It's not difficult. You can't, if you put off a TV in our house, TV doesn't even go until evening. And I'm not using my experience as yours. I'm not saying do the same thing, because managing technology begins with the family governance structure. And we have touched on this already. What is it that you are aiming towards? Your family vision needs to be crystal clear. And I dare say it is a developing, document. So perhaps priorities change, perhaps you're in a different location, maybe you want to make certain adjustments to it, but at its core, it needs to be defined and it needs to be clear. When we talk about family governance, we talk about vision, we talk about values, we talk about ideology, constitution, right? We talk about your family legend, a believable story that you tell your children, that you tell yourself to drive home that point. Who are we? What do we stand for? What impact are we on this world to make? That needs to be clear. Everything else feeds into that governance structure. Everything. Your communication, your domestic management system, education, right? You're talking about your economic system, family protection, child protection structures, security and immigration, nutrition and well-being. All of those feed into that family governance structure. And once you can get clarity on that, anything that falls on your radar is benchmarked against those standards. And it's not difficult when you have explained this to a child to then say, right, now we need to make a decision on this. And I say that because until you can have that coherent conversation with your child, perhaps you want to examine if they should be exposed to technology. You want to have that conversation. If they are, you want to ensure that you are firmly in control. When you get to the point where it now becomes, okay, negotiation, then you want to ensure that that family governance is clear first, because you are inviting the child to have a conversation comparing it with that. Earlier, when Coach Sonia was talking, she said, if your child wants to do something and they say it helps their, their mental health, right? And you look at the family governance, you look at the family vision, and that bit is not in that picture, then you're going to have to find another way to help that mental health, because we want you to be mentally healthy, right? But we're not going to compromise our family vision because there are voices, because there is noise. So everything stems from this. And as I said, the clearer you are on this, and it's interesting, working with families, and I say, okay, walk me through, tell me your, so they've come to me, and let me paint a picture here. They've come to me like, we have this challenge, we have this situation, perhaps behavior issues with our child and all right, what is your family vision? Let's see how close or how far things are to that. And they're like, vision, well, we are this, well, like that. Okay, break that down into values for me. And there's no clarity, or the father and the mother are saying two different things. That clarity has flown out of the window. So that is where the original work is. And when this is clear, everybody's family governance is not child governance. Everybody needs to feed into that. Everybody is bound by those words in your vision, with your values, in your constitution. Everybody is subject to it. There's nobody that rises above it. Nobody is outside that picture, because if they are, then you are falling flat. It's not even going to go anywhere. It's not going to be effective. The child is not going to trust you. If they comply because, you're responsible for their feeding and their well-being, once they get out of that circle where you hold all the cards in terms of finance, or you house them, or you put a roof over their heads, then they go left. So it permits me to go into the scripture. When we say train up a child in the way they should go, this is it. It is about those systems. It's not talking about it every day, or shouting or punishing. Those hold sway for a certain window. And you will know when you have lost that control. The truth is, you never really technically had it. Your child always had autonomy. And this is hard for parents to hear. Your child always had autonomy. What you want to ensure is that they don't realize it before they have sense. Right? You want them to continue to defer to you, to trust your judgment, even when they don't agree with it. That is the job of a parent, right? But if you don't even know where you're headed, how do you take your child along? How do you say, this is the drawing board, let us come back to the path? We have strayed. How do you even know when you have strayed? Right? If one of your family values is respect, for instance, you are subject to that as well. And some African parents, I'm an African parent myself, they are thinking, are you saying I should respect my child? Yes. The question is, how do you demonstrate that at different phases of your child's development? When you show respect to your younger child, what you're respecting is the raw potential that God has put inside that child. So you are fully present. You're ensuring this child is fed, they are clothed, they are looked after, they are unwell, they are taken to the hospital. You are showing regard for that seed in your hand. When the child begins to enter the questioning phase where they're asking you why, you show respect, not for who you're looking at, but as for who they are becoming. Because you know there is a time that they will be taller than you. So what then do you want to do? You regard that future and you let it impact the choices that you make now. The law of time perspective. The person who takes the longer time into consideration while making decisions now has better outcomes. Okay? So I've sat with this quite a bit because I think it is important for us to be clear. Sit down. The parents in the picture. If you're a single parent, it makes things easier because you're not checking with anybody, right? If you're co-parenting, this is a conversation you want to have. And I empathize with the person who asked earlier. Sometimes you are co-parenting because the marriage does not exist anymore, or probably never existed to begin with, right? Sometimes you are living with somebody in a marriage and you are at different perspectives on this is what we need to do, on that is what I've learned. So what then do? You try to carry them along and you take responsibility. I mean, you chose this person, right? You decided this was the person you wanted to marry, so this person you wanted to raise children with. So you make lemonade out of your lemons. That's what you do. Because you can't say, oh, I'm just going to discard this person. I mean, you're currently in a marriage. You don't agree with their parenting, right? So what do? You share your knowledge. You've attended this course. Find how to, you know how you communicate with that person, right? Talk to them. This is what I've learned. How do you think we should approach it? Think about how they approach statistics. Some people, numbers just get them, on board. Share the stats with them. This is what I've learned. This is what they are saying. Oh, this story. And Coach Sonia talked about storytelling earlier. Oh, do you know that a child in so and so unalived themselves because they were bullied? And I think exposing our child to this can, we need to mitigate that. I mean, that should get anybody's attention. So figure out a way, but ensure that this governance system is in place. It will save you and make things easier for you down the line. So when we talk about strategy, Coach Sonia has talked about balance, but let's just leave balance there in that slide for a minute. Think of these strategies as the legs of a stool, right? If you take one leg out, the stool cannot stand. A three-legged stool, right? So you have boundaries. You ensure that you're looking out for balance, and you're developing relationship. All of these need to be in sync. All right? Balance, harmony. All of them need to be in sync if you're going to create that tech-safe space for your child to live in. Okay, so let's move into the strategies. Quite a few of them we have touched on, so I won't dwell on them for too long. Number one is setting clear boundaries. You're asking questions like when do we use technology? You're asking questions about before school, is that okay? Remember your family governance, right? If we use it before school, what can happen? During meals, during homework, is that okay? Can they access the laptop in the home to do their homework in an exposed environment where anybody can walk behind them and see what is on the screen, right? Before bedtime, after bedtime, you're asking those questions. You're ensuring those boundaries are clear. If you don't provide clear rules and you then hold the child accountable, you're not being fair. You're not being fair, and it's not nice. Okay, you're not being fair. All right, you want to ask where is it allowed, where is it not allowed? At the dinner table. If you're like Bill Gates, he doesn't do phones at the dinner table. If you buy into that, then you implement it. Right? Bedrooms, do your phones go upstairs, or do they stay within where an adult can see you use it? It's entirely up to you. Right? Family conversations. How do we use phones? And please, again, it's not just the child. It needs to apply to everybody, right? During car journeys, how do we use devices, right? How do we use the tablet? You want to ask what? Which apps are you allowed on? What games are you allowed to play? What websites can you access? What type of content can you consume, right? And then finally, how are we ensuring that the child is on at minimum or maximum of one screen at a time? Do we ensure notifications are off during homework, right? If we need to charge devices, where do we play it? Do we disable autoplay? Remember the attention span conversation, right? The Association of American Pediatricians have recommended having screen-free zones and times, including meal times, bedtimes, and before bed. That blue light wakes you up. That's where the hiccup of giving a child access to a device before bed comes through, right? The blue light on your phone tricks your brain that you are awake. It's morning, let's have fun. So if you're trying to get your child in bed, then a device is not what you are needing. I hope we're clear on that, right? And it encourages also disabling autoplay and notifications. So this is a simple framework that you can use. I did say you're going to come away with frameworks. So you could use the traffic light approach, right? Green, technology that supports our family goals. We have looked at our family governance, and this technology is helpful for that, right? So homework, creative projects, video calls with relatives, educational content. We're happy with that, right? And then you move to amber. This technology needs context, right? We need to ring-fence certain things. So YouTube, multiplayer gaming. We're asking questions around social media, right? New apps, in-app purchases. Ensure that context is clear before access is given. And then there are the ones that are a no-no. They conflict with our family priorities, and we're not going to shift ground. Sorry about that. Let's keep it moving. So phones during meals, screen times, screens overnight in bedrooms, age inappropriate content, secret accounts, devices during homework when they cause distractions. Okay, so that's red, yellow, green. How does it play out? Decide on that and let that help you communicate that clarity. Next, you need to determine as a parent in terms of strategy, are you a controller or a collaborator? It's important because for the controller, they are saying things like, because I said so. Yeah, rules are rules. Those are the kind of words that we use, we controllers. Am I right? Rules are rules. You break a rule, that's that about that. You don't get it for another 6 months, right? Yeah. And for the controller, they are monitoring silently. The safeguards are there, but they've not told the children. And there was a question about that earlier, right? They're monitoring silently because they're trying to catch the child like so, right? But for a collaborator parent, they're talking and having conversations. They discuss those rules. They say things like, all right, let's work out what makes sense. They're going back to the family governance, right? Expectations are clear. They are explained to the child. The children have some age-appropriate input because, as we said, we don't know everything. So it's good to hear from the perspective of the child. Oh, I need this device for my homework. I'm not just playing on it. If we don't stop and listen, we might just ban it. I come from a country where we like banning stuff, even when it doesn't make sense. Just ban it. They ban it and then they don't think about alternative routes where those things can enter the country. If you're from that country, just keep looking straight. Just ban it, right? Yeah. The children should have an age-appropriate input, right? Monitoring is transparent. This is my phone. I have put it in your care, but I will check. Something I say to my son all the time. We had a conversation about WhatsApp recently. And I said, look, I have two very important responsibilities in my life, right? One is to God over you. One is to God. The other is to you yourself. I have a responsibility to God because I firmly believe that He is the seed giver and you are the seed and I'm the handler. And the seed owner, the seed giver, can call me as handler anytime and say, what have you done with this opportunity I gave you to manage this seed? He has lived with you for 10, 12, 13, 14 years. Let's have a conversation. I mean, how is it looking from your own perspective? I'm too afraid for that kind of conversation to do anyhow, yeah? And then I have responsibility to you because I love you. And I love you too much to allow certain things fall by the wayside, to allow certain things go awry. I love you too much. So even though you're not feeling that love in the moment, I'm going to hold that boundary, love. I'm going to hold that position and I'm not going to shift on it. You're upset, I will give you a hug, but we're going to stay the course because I love you too much, right? So it is important to ensure that we are collaborating parents, especially, as I said, our children have come to that age where we should be having conversations. And if your child has had a device up until now, and this is after the fact for you, please know, whenever you wake up is your morning. I mean, I hear sometimes parents are, oh, I don't want them to have a meltdown. Well, they will be all right. They will be all right. I don't recommend cold turkey, depending on the degree of exposure. And, we have to take the personality of the child into account as well, right? So some children can handle cold turkey, some children cannot. Some children you have to teach, alternatives. And we're still going to come to that shortly. You have to give alternatives, right? You don't just snatch it and, walk away. But if you know that your child can handle it, and that is what is necessary, I mean, it gets to a point where that might be the only intervention that is required if it has become unmanageable and is starting to affect the child, okay? So collaboration means sharing the reasoning behind the decision and not handing over the remote control. It's different. You're not putting the child in the driver's seat. You stay in charge, but you bring them into a conversation, okay? So let's move on to this framework in developing that collaborative perspective. There's the explain, agree, and review, because it is important. You're trying to get your child from a place where they say, mommy said so, daddy said so, to I hold this position for myself. I believe that it is true. I have seen the facts, I have heard the stories, and I have decided, actually, this is right. And this position is now mine, right? That is the journey you're taking your child on. It might take a minute, right? So it's not to impose your thoughts and expect them to adopt it without even examining. As we know, we're not trying to raise compliant children. If your child is 100% compliant at home, they have limited chances of standing up to anybody outside the house. All right, standing up to adults who give them wrong directions, who say, if we go down the predator route, take off your skirt, right? If your child has not learned to stand up to ideas that do not match his or her sense of identity or family values, if they've not learned to do that at home, then they're less safe outside. Let's put it that way. So you need to explain yourself, and then you need to come to an understanding, come to an agreement. Am I saying they're going to go, oh, right, I get your point now, 100%? No, but you're going to need, in some cases, to hold that boundary. And then you want to go back and review, right? And you want to let the child know that, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it, okay? And I want us to work together on this. Let's try it out for the next 2 weeks and see how it feels. What you've done is to make the child willing to interrogate that idea. You have set a limit. You have put an end. So the child is like 2 weeks. But you are an adult. You know that the child will be better for it. My son's school recently did a consultation, and they said the children are going to be dropping their phones in pouches when they arrive at school from next year or from September and all of that. And I'm on board with it. When I spoke with my son, he's like, it doesn't make any difference. My phone is locked during school time anyway, so it's not a problem, right? But they took the time to give us that explanation, right? And they've said, they didn't even implement it straight away. So they said, all right, we're going to give you some time to have a think or to talk to your children, and then we're going to implement, right? So EAR, explain, agree, and review. It changes the conversation from I am against you, or against something that, has become part of your life. It has now become, this is the family's position, and this is a problem. So we're going to address the problem, and then we're going to come back and reassess. And by the time you get to that other side, you're going to need to be able to trust that the child would be better for it. The school would not have instituted that if the research has not shown that the children probably don't focus during the school hours and all of that. Okay? That defensiveness is dramatically reduced because there is now that distinction that it's not because they just want to punish me, it is for a certain goal. And we have assessed it based on that perspective. I'm just going to check that we are still together. Can I get floaty thumbs if I still have your attention? If you are listening and this is making sense, please, can I get floaty thumbs? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay. All right. Let's keep it moving. We're going to be halfway, and then we will wrap up shortly after that. Strategy 3, and we've talked about this already. Use the technology to manage the technology, right? Most of the platforms have a lot of tools that can help you manage the use of the technology. So think screen time limits, think downtime schedules, think app restrictions, age ratings, purchase controls, content filters, location sharing, right? Activity reports. This is what Pastor was talking about earlier, that he can go back and check. And I think my husband mentioned it as well. Go back and check what has been happening. And I do it. Okay. I do it. I'm on my phone and I just go on the Google link. We use a Google family link and I just check, all right, what's been happening. And if there is some activity, I get a prompt, right? So I'm just having a look to say what's going on. And then, of course, privacy settings. All right. Ofcom's research in 2026 found that 93% of parents actually say they use, all these monitoring tools. They do use some form of online supervision. Okay. While some 77% say that they are not very familiar. That data is skewed, isn't it? They're not very familiar with how to set those parental control. So it's important for us to learn. It's not to expect you to become cybersecurity experts, but if you're putting your child, this is how I explain the internet to younger children, because I do mentor younger children. I say, look, if you are 11 or you're 10, yeah, do you think your parents will send you to perhaps a King's Cross or Waterloo train station without any prior training, any prior guidance, and just go to that train station, grab a train, go down the subway, the escalator, and just get a train to wherever and meet me at home? And they're like, oh no, my mom wouldn't do that. Or she doesn't even let me go down to the shop to buy anything. And I'm like, that's how the internet is. The internet is fantastic, but it is also accessible to all sorts and all kinds of people. And it's not just about you I'm worried about. It's all the other kind of people that would have access to you once you cross certain thresholds. So privacy settings are quite important. All right. Now, the caveat for us as parents is that we should use parental controls as guardrails. It doesn't replace our parenting. So just putting all of these in place and saying, right, here you go, you figure it out. It does not replace our parenting. A filter cannot teach our children judgment, right? And setting a screen time limit cannot teach self-regulation. As we said, they are still learning. They are still growing. So they need that relationship with us. They need it to constantly be worked on. They need it to be developed. They need it to be strengthened. Okay? Putting a monitoring app on your child's phone does not replace a conversation. Absolutely not. And I've said well done and thank you earlier, because when you're doing all of this work, it is daunting. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. But always remind yourselves that it should. You are responsible for the future. It should not be a walk in the park. It should not be a casual, no. It should not. People, Al-Qaeda and co, who raise terrorists, they are dedicated to it. Think about that. They are dedicated to it. So when your child has passed through your 18-year curriculum, living with you, being taught, being trained, engaging with you, what is your report card going to show? That's the question you want to ask yourself. And if you're going to have a good report card, it's not by being casual or just, coasting. It takes effort, okay? Your fourth strategy is to replace and not just remove screens, okay? So you're not saying to your child, right, I'm just going to, we're not gaming anymore. I've attended IPC 2.0 and they said screens are bad, okay? Screens are bad. So I'm going to take screens off the table. Child is now waiting. And then, so what's now going to happen? Who's going to walk me to the park? Who's going to take me to football? Right? So you need to ensure that you're replacing and not just removing screens. Now, to help you, do a little bit of analysis, and we've talked about having tools. So this is another tool. These are options for you to explore. You're asking yourself, are devices interfering with bedtime or sleep? Is there enough physical activity? Is there enough movement in the life of this child, right? Are we spending meaningful time together? And this might not just be a device on the side of the child. This is, we can be honest, can't we? This is on your own side as well. So how much time are you spending on Instagram? How much time are you spending on TikTok? It's not just about what we say. It's a lot about what we do, right? So are we spending meaningful time together, right? Our schoolwork, chores, and other commitments getting done. Just to give you a method of analyzing. If anything is getting in the way of some of these things, then it's to take a second look and say, right, this needs attention and we're going to get to it, okay? So before going, how many minutes of screen time is okay? I know I shared some data earlier. How many? Ask these questions. For you, it might be maybe a smidge more. I wouldn't advise that, but perhaps if they use it heavily for schoolwork, perhaps in a certain phase. Yes, 7 children are going to be starting and they do need quite a lot of, it's an adjustment for them, right? So it might take longer for them to figure out how certain apps or certain tools, homework and all of that work. So they might need a bit more time. It's to make that adjustment and to be able to explain why, right? So rather than being fixated on how many minutes, just ask yourself these questions and see how you can measure. All right. Parents are part of the plan. We have talked about this. Parents are part of the plan. This is where technoference comes in. Digital device used by parents can interrupt that parent-child interaction. So you want to ask, how am I contributing to this problem? Because the child needs that interaction with you. They need that connection with you. If your own device is in the way, make an adjustment, okay? Make an adjustment. Number 6, build that trust before you need it. This is talking about communication. This is talking about relationship. Build that trust before you want to cash that trust check. Ensure that it is there. And by doing this, you want to replace interrogation with curiosity. Because as I said earlier, you can't have 100% certainty that contact will not happen, because that is the world that we live in. And I talked about how people are actively working hard to put materials like this, content like this, in the face of children. We have talked about how tech billionaires are creating platforms. They're creating tools and devices to restrain or hinder the development of focus in children, and then keeping their own children away from it, right? We've talked about that. So the challenges exist. The challenges are there. The child may eventually stumble on something. The child may eventually feel that their own well-being is, maybe you didn't catch it, maybe you missed it, right? You missed those low moods, you missed those signals. If the child cannot then come to you to say, I need help, I'm struggling, they might not be able to articulate it in those words. Maybe they mouth off, maybe they do something, but if they cannot trust you to respond appropriately, then there's going to be an issue, right? So if a child receives an inappropriate message, they're added to a group chat, they get bullied, they share their privates online. Where should they retreat to? Home. If they then need to look outside to another person who does not even have it together or does not mean well, it could get worse. You can just Google how many children have decided to end it all because they made an error, because they made a mistake, right? They made an embarrassing mistake. There was a while ago, and this was in Nigeria. A child shared their image with another friend, and that person put it on their class WhatsApp or whatever, and the thing went viral, and the child could not cope with it. Now they thankfully they did not end it all, but they were very close. They were very, very close. They were on the edge of it. Now, we can say the child has not, ended their lives, but what kind of shell of themselves are they carrying around? We don't know. We cannot fully estimate the impact of these occurrences or events in the lives of children. So the best thing is prevention. The next best thing is to have a trusted adult, a trusted parent, immediately provide that support. Immediately let them know, look, you are not your mistake. Yes, you made a mistake. It is a heavy one, but I will stand with you and I will support you through it. So you might be finding people trying to scrub the internet, the school safeguarding measures kicking in just to ensure that that child has support. But the best person it should come to those words should be the parent. It should be the parent. That's the biggest, most important influence in the life of a child. If the parents, I'm not going to put a blanket, all parents mean well. The parents mean well. If the parents mean well. Okay? So the child must understand that if something goes wrong, they can come to you. It doesn't mean there are no consequences. That's not the way life is designed. But even in those consequences, you will be with them. You will prioritize their safety. Okay? And you will look after them. All right? Let's move on because I've covered some of these things. Okay, let's look at this framework very quickly as I begin to wrap up, right? Look at this, the word tech. Okay, so if you like acronyms, this one would be very good for you, and it would be at your fingertips. Yeah, talk, keep communication open, and keep it non-judgmental. It can be hard. I get it. I'm a mom too, but you need to ensure that communication is open, and you're not judging. You're not saying, you two, what did you do? Yeah, I know it must have been your fault. They're not likely to want to have that conversation progress. They're likely to mentally shut down and just sit next to you and bear with your lecture for the minute and move on quickly and try to delete everything you said. And what I say to parents is, your constant interaction in terms of communication with your child is going to be their inner voice when they're older. So what you want to ask yourself is, when my child is older, they're 25, 30, when they think of the things I used to say, what would it provoke in their minds? Does it tell them, you're confident, go for it, you can do anything, you're not your mistakes, mistakes is how we learn, so you're going to keep trying? Or is it going to be, better sit down, it's not you they're looking for there? We need to ask ourselves those questions. And it's about that intentionality. What you do today can have long-term, far-reaching consequences. Establish those clear, predictable boundaries. Be clear on what you want and communicate it in the best way possible. You're thinking about how the child absorbs information. You're looking at learning styles in this point, right? You're not just saying, look, I've said it and that's that about that. It doesn't matter whether you said it when the child was emotionally disturbed, right? It doesn't matter whether you said it by embarrassing them, lashing out at them in front of their friends or family members, because that makes you feel like, I'm a good parent, isn't it? Right? If I'm harsh, people will know that, yes, I'm on the ball. It's more about what you do at home. Certain things, quite a lot of the things that are displayed outward have been normalized at home. And then we then expect children to appropriate. Like, oh, at home I can do whatever I want, but in public I have to gather. It's not fair on the child. And what you're inadvertently teaching that child is masking, and they are pretending, and they're not being their full selves. And one day that mask will fall. All right. You want the child to be comfortable in their own skin. You want them to be wholesome. You want them to feel good. Set those boundaries, hold those boundaries, ensure they are clear and they are predictable. See, you want to check. Use those parental controls, use those privacy settings, and monitor them appropriately. Make sure they know you are monitoring. That alone puts a little bit of caution under normal circumstances. Puts caution that mom is watching, right? Mom can check what I've viewed, right? So I bet, what's the point? And we go back earlier when we talked about pornography, it is to recognize the addictive potential of pornography. And you want to ensure that your child is not dealing with long-term mental health issues. Sometimes it gets to a point where you need to call an addiction specialist. That is what the situation requires, right? So monitor appropriately. Let them know you are monitoring so that can bring about that initial restraint. Yeah. And finally, check their health. Protect sleep. Make sure there is enough movement. And this is for the younger ones and the older ones as well. Prioritize relationship, their learning, and their offline life. Help them draw the difference, recognize the difference between reality and online. 1 million followers and nobody shows up to your party. That can be demoralizing because, you post a picture, nobody is liking it. Why? Am I not beautiful? Am I not this? Am I not that? It's until I've done this, I've adjusted this, and I've adjusted that. That's when I begin to feel good about myself. So I want you to just take a minute now as I close. Imagine your child is 25 or 30. They own their own home, they have their own children, and they have developed their own relationship with technology. What do you hope that picture looks like? Yeah? What do you hope that they remember from this phase of their lives with you? Do you want them to hear, put that phone down? You're always on your phone. You're always on your phone. You're always distracted, right? Or do you want to have learned from you that technology is useful, but it doesn't run their lives? That the real goal of technology is to add value, not take over. It's not about the perfect screen time window. It's that you have digitally parented your children well, right? It's raising that individual, that 25, 30-year-old individual to say, I know when technology helps me, when it adds value, and when to put it away. A tech-healthy home is not a home without technology. I doubt if you can 100% achieve that. But it's a home where technology serves the family's vision rather than the family being at the mercy of technology. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for staying. Thank you for coming. And if I can just provoke you as a final thought, what is your next step? Standing up from your chair today, if you're standing, if you're sitting, or if you're standing, what is the next step you're going to take? Make that decision now and follow through. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Coach D. That was really, really powerful, insightful. That was really brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, something to Thank you so much. While we let Coach G quickly take maybe a sip of water before she takes the closing remarks. So I just want everyone, please just put what has IPC experience been so far for you. Put in the chat box. Has it been amazing? Your 1 word, 2 words. What's the experience been so far? Please, I want to see them um in the group chat. What's the experience been so far? What a wow. Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. What's the experience been so far? Knowledge packed. That's really good. That's a great one. Um, thank you, Bolutife. Folks, let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. What's the experience been for you so far? Today, what's today's experience been like for you so far? Would like to know. Yeah, we'll just let Coach D, because we'll be closing very soon. So she's just gonna share some more information about the speakers and also where you can get some of the resources that they do have for us. It's been impactful. Thank you so much, Lydia. And Prof. Akurede said it's been great participating. Oh, that's really good. He said he wish this had come 2 months ago. It would have been of greater impact in his family. Nevertheless, we run forward with the gains of this conference. That's the spirit. And then, of course, we're able to share the learnings we've gotten today with other friends, other families, because building on what we learned last year, you always build your village. So spread this information to your village. Expository and mind-blowing. Thank you very much. Good, Deshala, over to you now.
Thank you so very much. I am just trying to put some things on the screen, and I'm very pleased that the conference has been helpful. Bear with me, please. I did say to us earlier that technology sometimes lets me down. Or maybe I'm letting it down. Maybe I'm letting it down. But for some reason, it's not letting me share what I want to share. But I will keep trying. I am resilient like that. Bear with me. Okay. Sharing correctly now.
Yes.
Babs. All right. Let's make that bigger. Oh gosh, it's gone to the beginning. Right. This is why it's good to apologize ahead. All right. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you could have been anywhere else today, but you spent this afternoon with us, and I believe that it has been worth your while. The sessions were streamed, the whole conference was streamed live on YouTube. So you can always go back and experience it again and again. If you want to not have to be the one teaching it again to somebody else, all you have to do is share that YouTube link. All right, pass it on. Tell people, parents in your circle. As I said, the more people that are doing the right thing, the better for us as a society. Okay, so it's not enough to know the solutions yourself or to have the knowledge yourself. You need to share it. Let your light connect with another light, because the illumination in that event is brighter. Okay, so please share it. You will get the links in your in the emails, the post event emails. We'll send you the YouTube link. And you'd also get a gift for everyone who has attended today. I've put together a list of resources, websites that can help your children access quality material on screen. Okay, so if you've decided, right, so my child is going to have 1 hour or 2 hours of screen time, but I want an hour of those 2 hours to be high quality content, and I want them to be learning and to be doing something, not just mindlessly consuming stuff, I have made that list, and the links will be sent to you as well. So you're welcome. No need to thank me. All right. So speakers resources. We had Coach Abies Sonia speak with us earlier this morning, and this is her website. So just to connect with her, to find out what she has available. She is a counselor, she is a coach, so she can offer support in a variety of ways. Excuse me. Okay. Can I just check what we are seeing on our screen?
A very warm welcome. See a very warm welcome to you. That's
see.
like,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I apologize. What am I going to do about that? I'm going to stop sharing first. Okay. Share. That one. Okay. Do we see
Yes.
the right page now?
We can see Coach Sonia's
That's
website.
it. Fabs. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to my I want to say manager because he manages me. It is well with him. All right. So this is Coach Sonia's website, as I was saying earlier. So please, it is asebconsultancy.com. Quite straightforward. Please have a look on her page. Work with her, book her for speaking engagements, access her services. She is a fantastic counselor and a coach. All right. I also want to talk about my book. I mentioned it earlier. I did publish this last year, and it's titled Becoming an Ocean, Parenting Beyond Glass Walls. The analogy, in case you were wondering, is the relationship between a shark, an aquarium, and the ocean, right? And it just challenges you as a parent, as a teacher, even to or a caregiver or someone who comes in contact with children, to become expansive, to become expansive in your thinking, your approach to life, to evolve. Okay, the challenge is for you to evolve, because we have recognized that when you put a child in contact with a certain kind of person, their outcomes are significantly impacted by that person. Okay, in the book, I talk about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Recently, I've had to discuss this in the trending situation between three brothers actually, who were in business together, and for some reason, things have gone south for years and years, and it just begs the question, what was the origin like? I mean, some of my friends were saying, oh, but the twins are supposed to be closer. For me, yeah, they're twins, they share the womb, but they are brothers with their older brother as well. And if you don't know, don't worry about it. But it's just an open situation, open conflict that I think could have been managed differently. But it goes back to what I think, and I've not assessed them, but if in my professional opinion, I believe it goes back to what was normalized to them growing up. And I think ACEs plays a big role in that. There is some kind of deep-seated resentment that they are harboring towards each other. And, obviously the person we're going to hold responsible is the parents. They're the ones that created that environment. So that's just one of the things that I talked about in the book. It's also about learning, about, training our own minds, approaching learning something new every day, seeing it as our bread and butter. Because if we don't know something, how do we teach it? Right? Talks about emotional self-regulation, talks about our own, how we present to our children, because our interactions create their normal. And if your child is still a baby, you are at a huge advantage. I didn't have this when my children were young. It took, recognizing that I had adverse childhood experiences and then saying, look, I'm going to do better. And it just pushed me in this direction, and I've poured all that heart into this book. So please get a copy. It's available on Amazon. We would also put the link to ordering it in the email that we're sending to you, or if it can be put in the chat for me now, I would really appreciate that. Okay, so let's, and this is amongst other things. So I'm going to share how you can connect with speakers today, myself and Coach Sonia. So you have my email there, you have my Instagram, you have her own website, and my link tree is very, very important because it has everything that I've done and I'm still doing by the grace of God. And it's just an opportunity for you to access all of that so that it can be a blessing and be a support to you. If there's a current parenting challenge or there's some issue that you would like addressed, please feel free to send me an email or go on my YouTube page. There's loads of free resources there. When I say email me, caveat, it does require you to part with money. It's not a free service. But like I said, free resources on YouTube, conversations that I've had, work that I've done that can support you in your parenting. Also, I do run a small WhatsApp group. And if you want to be part of that parenting inner circle, I do share, make myself available and accessible in that manner as well. If you'd like to join that, you can reply to the email and just say, can you add me to the WhatsApp group? We will not do it without your consent. So please tell us about that. Before I go to final thoughts, I just want to appreciate our partners in putting this event together. Dentilect Consulting, amazing firm. They did all the branding work, the part of the conceptualization, because I do try to keep a few things to a certain pattern, but we, just supporting, bringing ideas to the table, and just ensuring that there is quality. So thank you. City of David Canterbury, Pastor Akin was here, and they supported us last year and worked together again with us this year. And hopefully this has become a thing, right? And then the Daisy Place UK, that is my practice, and that is a platform on which this has come to you. So, final thoughts. As parents in this generation, our work is cut out for us. Okay, I mustn't forget to appreciate our host, Uncle Emmanuel. Clapping ovation for you. Thank you so much. I know this was a stretch for you, and I really want to say thank you. I know you had other things planned today, but you so graciously shelved it to be here and to host the conference today. And please, if you don't mind, if you just want to use emojis to appreciate Emmanuel for me, he's been a huge blessing. Thank you so much. And my manager, thank you, especially because when I said he was going to be on the program, he was like, sorry, but he was here and he supported behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. Always a blessing. Thank you so much. And to everyone again who decided to be here today, I do not take it for granted that you showed up. And I believe that your children and every child, young person who comes in contact with you will be better for it. All right, to our final thoughts. How many minutes have I got? 5 minutes. We did say we're going to be together from 11 till 3, okay? And thank you for staying till the end. Final thoughts wise, as parents, as I said, our work is cut out for us. All right. And it's important for us to recognize the uniqueness of this age. Okay. The children that we are giving birth to now, our generation, Alpha, generation Beta, they are not here to play. They are not here to play at all. They have been born fully in a digital age. Augmented reality is their own playground. Okay, it's not like let's protect them. And some of them are blessed enough to be in developed countries, but if you think back, or you think of underdeveloped, underserved areas, they do have access to technology. however, in a less refined form. Yeah, so you're talking about social media, you're talking about TikTok. You can still access those platforms with very little data, and the impact is still there. So, what am I saying? We need to take it very seriously. We need to ensure that we're doing our best. We're using our voices as parents, as caregivers, to speak up on behalf of these children. While we're doing the right thing, we need to be sharing with parents around us. We need to be talking to them and saying, look, I'm not telling you what to do. I mean, your child is your child, and I'm not doing that either. However, I do recognize the impact that contact can have, especially when it results in contamination. So that is my encouragement to us. Do an audit, assess your own situation, how your family has been interacting with technology. If you do not have a family governance system, go back to that point. If you have not been leveraging storytelling, you have not been sitting your children down, if your approach has been purely lecturing, you want to tweak that. Okay, you want to ensure that there is that safety in the minds of your child, in the minds of your children, to come to you, something they've heard, something they've seen, so that you can address it from a front facing perspective. And if you're dealing with situations, I'm working with somebody now who is not even a child anymore, he's a young adult, but the distraction his earlier years have caused are now having real-time consequences in the real world, right? So this person is now struggling, right? And it's just a shame, okay? And it would then take a little bit of extra work, but we can mitigate that. So that is my encouragement to you. Use technology in a way that serves your family. Decide on where you're headed. Have clarity on that vision, and let everything point you in that direction. And there is help available for you. So as I said, if you're struggling already, let a professional know. Speak with a professional. If it is at the child's school or wherever, talk to them. Let them give you advice. If you're parenting a neurodiverse child, your challenge is different, but it is not unique. Okay, people have dealt with it. There's resource available. Behavior has been studied in that regard. I would also say, though, that we don't fully understand the import or the impact of technology because it hasn't existed for that long. Okay, studies are happening and they're drawing those parallels. The ones that we are clear on is the impact of screens and how it affects attention. So mitigate that. If your child is neurodiverse, there is strategy available to you. Seek out that information and put in your very best. All right. Thank you so much once again. Any thoughts from you, Emmanuel?
Well, it's been an amazing, amazing time. And thank you to everyone that's attended. Thank you to the admin who's been working really well behind the scenes as well. So please do well to follow Coach D on all of our handles. Linktree, really, really important. And also please order a book. You'll find it really, 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 really helpful. And if you have a friend with a child or with children or even intending parents, it's a good material to buy for them as a gift. And they will find that really, really helpful. We've had lots of positive feedback. So this is not even because, of course, we're trying to do her a favor. I think she's done us more favor, really, in that regard. Of course, it's a good thing if we have lots of books sold. That's a feather to our heart, but we'll find it more very, very helpful. That's why we serve. I'm just reiterating that. We'll be looking forward to IPC 3.0. This is a good place to point that out. And then we wouldn't mind you putting in the chat box what sort of topics do you think you would like to for us to discuss in IPC 3.0. Please just use the chat box. We already closing. Please just let us know so we can have something to work with for the subsequent conference. Please, let's keep that coming. IPC 3.0, what sort of conversation would you like us to to focus on next time. It could be maybe parent harmony between parents, actually, how to get harmony. I'm just throwing different ideas. You put yours in the chat box. At least I'm entitled to mine. Yeah, developing parenting or parental harmony between parents. So because you can't give what you do not have. And as it might mean just learning how to rest and stuff like that. Anyway, please, we look forward to seeing that. And thank you so much for today. See ya in your emails. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye, guys.